And we still have one game to go at Ellen Road. It's Leeds against Newcastle with Paul Robinson and, first of all, John Murray.
Well, thank you, Mark. I can tell you that the weather has turned in West Yorkshire during the afternoon. We have now got rain absolutely sweeping across Elland Road, but we've also got Paul Robinson, two of the sets of supporters who are known as the most vocal there are around, and we've had a rousing build-up to the match.
It's a sensational atmosphere inside Elland Road. How often do we have to say that? I mean, love them or loathe them, Leeds and Newcastle supporters, you can't argue with the noise that they bring and the atmosphere that they provide.
So off they go. Leeds United against Newcastle United. 5 live from the BBC. Listen as well on BBC Sounds as the ball is ricocheted behind for what is a goal kick for Leeds United. Leeds' target here is to make it 2 home wins out of 2 to start their return to the Premier League. And Newcastle, who, as you've probably heard, announced a new club record signing this morning, Nick Voltemade, will be able to play at St James's Park next Saturday against Wolverhampton Wanderers. He can't play today, but Newcastle's target is simple: get their first win of this new season. So goalkeeper Perry takes the goal kick for Leeds, who are in all white, of course, here at Elland Road, and Newcastle United in their sort of purpley blue change kit with the orange trim, and the ball on the edge of their penalty area. Now, Eddie Howe made 4 changes from the team that started in that thrilling match against Liverpool on Monday night. And with the change that he's had us guessing, hasn't he, Paul, whether he would actually switch to 3 central defenders. And it does kind of look that way, doesn't it, with Livramento in an advanced position on the left-hand side.
Very much looks like a hybrid fluid formation, what he's selected today, Eddie Howe. Botman, Shah and Byrne, the natural 3 central defenders. Livramento playing as like a hybrid left wing-back, Trippier on the other side, but actually at times there'll be a 4. It looks like a very fluid formation selected by Eddie Howe. We've seen him do that before, but it seems to fit and the balance of players that they have available.
Well, you saw Leeds in midweek. We were listening to that on Tuesday night when they lost in Sheffield against Wednesday at Hillsborough, when he made 9 changes that night as Leeds go all the way back to goalkeeper Perry. From the match that I was commentating on this time last week, he's made 2 changes from the 5-0 defeat at Arsenal. So Sean Longstaff has come into the midfield for his first Premier League start for Leeds, and it's Mecha up front, Lucas Mecha, with Pirro, last season's top scorer, on the bench. Tanaka is injured, so the Leeds side, Perry in goal, Bogle, Rodon, Strout the captain, and Gudmundsson, Ampadu still injured. In midfield, Gruev with Longstaff and Stack, and then James on the right, Gnonto on the left, and Mecha through the middle. And Newcastle, the 4 changes. Will Osula is in as the centre forward. Of course, no Alexander Isak out of the picture, so it's his first Premier League start for Newcastle. Also, same applies for Jacob Ramsey. In fact, his first start for Newcastle. Botman, his first appearance of the season. Likewise, Jacob Murphy. So the Newcastle team, Paul, as we've said, Pope in goal, then Botman, Share and Byrne as effectively the 3 central defenders. Trippier on the right, Livramento on the left, Guimaraes and Tonali in the middle, then Jacob Murphy and Jacob Ramsey, the 2 Jacobs, either side of Osula. So a bit of a switch for Newcastle.
They do look a lot more balanced with that, though. Like you said before the kick-off, he had us guessing, but it does look a very balanced selection from Eddie Howe.
Trippier then plays the ball back to Ramsey. Then Tonali allows it to run, but all the way through to the goalkeeper. And of course that's significant as well, the fact that there's no Joe Linton, he's out injured, but Tonali is fit. Clearly there was a big doubt about him after Monday night with the shoulder injury, and likewise Share, who has been past fit despite a head injury. Botman challenged him with Mecha. Here's Gnonto. Ball, and it was just behind Mecha, the square pass from Gnonto. There were defenders coming back. But here's Livramento in the England squad, named by Thomas Tuchel yesterday. Livramento stabbing it forward, and then it's allowed to run by Osula, and Livramento takes it on, and the ball is right across the edge of the 6-yard box, past Jacob Ramsey. Back in it comes, and as Osula puts in the challenge, that is given as a free kick. Too physical on Rodon, and a free kick to Leeds inside their own penalty area. So a big choice of listing at the moment here on 5 Live. Leeds United 0, Newcastle United 0, but the Women's Rugby Union World Cup match, England-Samoa, started at 5. It's on Sports Extra. What's the news, James Burridge?
England dominating, John, 47 points to nil now, 7 tries in total, 35 minutes almost on the clock, and 2 from Meg Jones, and Jess Breach with her 50th try for England, a fantastic finish in the corner from the England right wing. 47 points to nil against Samoa. Thank you, James. As I say, you can listen to that on Sports Extra right now. The US Open tennis is on Sports Extra 2, the 100 Sports Extra 3, and if you are late to the game, Sports Extra 2 and Sports Extra 3 are exclusive on BBC Sounds, so that is where you find them. The ball is back with the Newcastle goalkeeper now, Nick Pope, all in lemon yellow. As it's hoisted back forward for Leeds. Cher comes across, hooks the ball over his own shoulder, out of play. That is caught by Gabriel Gudmundsson. Last I saw him, last Saturday evening, he was having 15-year-old Max Dowman running at him time and time again. I suspect he's probably seen that in his sleep during the course of the week.
I think he'll be a good signing, Gudmundsson, I really do. I think, they look for balance on the left-hand side. Junior Firpo excelled in the Championship, but always struggled at Premier League level. Daniel Farke made a big call, allowed him to go, brought Gudmundsson in for 10 million. Experienced Swedish international. I think he'll be a big asset to Leeds. Yes, he won't be having 15-year-olds running at him every week. Here's Gnonto down the left-hand side. Stack with a cross into the near post, but that's well defended by Botman. And Newcastle with Tonali are able to clear it away. And then Leeds come again. Gnonto had his back to goal on the edge of the penalty area, but as it was fed into him by Gudmundsson, he wasn't able to get a touch. Newcastle have got it at the back. And Cher just chips it away coolly, headed down by Jacob Ramsey. Ramsey gets it back. That is lovely and neat from Newcastle, but that wasn't, as Ramsey slipped, I think, as he played it forward. So Leeds have got it back, and now here's Dan James as Leeds attack now to the edge of the penalty area where Stack hits the shot, but that is blocked by the diving defender on the edge of the penalty area. Botman comes back to Leeds again. Longstaff, must be an odd feeling for him to be playing against Newcastle United. Sean Longstaff, this, as I say, his first Premier League start for Leeds United after 214 appearances in the black and white stripes, or sometimes the green and white, of course. Here's Dan James now moving in from the right hand side. He's challenged, he's fouled by Livramento. That's a free kick to Leeds, middle of the Newcastle half. Paul Robinson. Yeah, good possession of play by Leeds. It's started by Dan James. He's very quick, he's very direct at times, isn't he? Sometimes criticised for his lack of end product. He's very, very quick, turns and attacks the Newcastle defence. Leeds recycled possession, kept hold of it, and it was James in turn who won the free kick. 10-15 yards outside the Newcastle box. Opportunity for Stack to deliver. Yeah, Dan James, former Manchester United man, as you'll remember, was at Fulham as well in the Premier League, but probably still feels he's got plenty to prove in the Premier League, despite all of his caps for Wales as well. But a free kick that Stack is going to take, the German international, this new midfielder, one of the new Leeds recruits. Another of them, by the way, James Justin, newly arrived this week, is among the substitutes, as is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Stack to take the free kick. In fact, he's gone for goal, but he went with the sort of curl. I saw Nick Pope well off his line to his right, tried to sweep it into the bottom corner, but it was wide by a yard or two. He's a long way from goal there, is Stack. That's a very ambitious attempt to beat the goalkeeper, and Nick Pope's quality from that distance. There was only one man in the wall, a long way out. Newcastle held a very, very high line. Pope showed Stack some of the near post, but it was nowhere near, in all honesty. As we have just been shown on our tiny little screen here, Nick Voltemada sitting in the stands after his club record deal, Newcastle United club record deal of around about £69 million, as Tonali plays it forward through the middle, but goalkeeper Perry is able to come and claim it just inside the box as Osula bursts through the middle. Yes, it's a bold move, isn't it? Voltemada, as Perry goes for an overarm ball right over the top, which actually landed in the opposition half, Paul. Well, that's twice he's done it, isn't it? Perry, the goalkeeper, his distribution with his feet at times maybe not be his strongest point, but we can see it's been a set play that Leeds have obviously worked on. They look to play out from the back. Nemecha pushes the Newcastle central defenders forward. And now here is Gudmundsson, as Paul mentioned, surging forward, the left back, gives it to his left, and Gnonto, he's cutting in now from the left-hand side, looking for the ball into the penalty area for the run of Stack, but Newcastle have dealt with that and actually
played away very nicely. Their captain, Bruno Guimaraes, bringing it forward. Rain continues to pour down. Bruno Guimaraes tries to dig out the pass for the run of Livramento. Bogle was sharp onto him. Livramento, though, in possession, is able to play it back to another member of the England squad, Dan Burn, behind him.
Yeah, back to that throw from the goalkeeper. It's a set play that Leeds have strangely adopted. Just a long hurl from the goalkeeper to the centre forward, almost half the length of the field.
Sean Longstaff puts in a tackle on his former teammate, Jacob Murphy. Tackle from behind, but he took the ball cleanly. Murphy was left on the ground. That will have happened on the Newcastle United training ground a few times over the course of recent seasons. 0-0 here, 10 minutes played, and after what was it's been an exceptionally eventful afternoon. I hope you were listening earlier. The dramatic Manchester United win in the end by 3-2 against Burnley. We've already heard from Brian and Burmo on 5 Live during Sports Report. We'll have much more reaction to the afternoon matches at half-time, but all of the details, you can read all about it right now on the football pages of the BBC Sport website. Leeds coming forward. Gnonto, I think he's just got a heavy touch on that. He has, which meant that Cher could slide in, and Newcastle were able to clear it out for a throw near the halfway line.
The two wide players are a big part of what Leeds do. Dan James and Willie Gnonto. The Metcher at times he's cut a very lonely figure, and it's up to Dan James and Gnonto to get in and around the main striker, try and support him and provide the bodies in and around to allow the defence to squeeze the pitch. Daniel
Farke just is the man who fields the ball as it rolls off the pitch, and have we got technical problems here?
It's just gone over to Pascal Stroik, the referee. The game stopped. Now there's some players come over to this near side around Eddie Howe, around Jason Tyndall, the Leeds players coming over as well. The referee's communicating with the players, but everyone in the stadium, including ourselves, yet to be aware of what's actually going on.
Yeah, normally when this happens there is some kind of technical issue. In fact, where is the assistant on this side of the field?
There you go, John. Good spot.
Yeah, he's disappeared.
We've lost an assistant on the near side.
His technicals, clearly his microphone.
I tell you what, that's how good you are. You must be the only person in this stadium that realises we haven't got an assistant on the near side.
No, I mean, as I say, normally it's something technical, isn't it, when this happens?
Shall we do the old Sunday League, get someone out of the crowd?
Jimmy Hill once did that. Do you remember? That was probably before your time, Paul. It is half-time, but while we have the stoppage, it is half-time in the England-Samoa World Cup match. James Burridge.
The game going as expected, John. England 47-0 up against Samoa here at Franklin's Gardens. 7 tries in total. Meg Jones looking very impressive through the centres, and Jess Breach has scored her 50th try, the second to score today. England have kept the game plan simple. Samoa looking tired, and the game was opening up towards those last few minutes of that first half, so the second half could be ominous. England targeting 100 points. Men expect them to get that potentially today. Conditions aren't great. It's a greasy ball. It's been chucking it down in Northampton this afternoon, but they'll be hungry to make a statement in the second half. They lead at half-time by 47 points to 0.
Thank you, James. So the commentary on that is on Sports Extra, on your digital radio or via BBC Sounds. I think it's Eddie Smart who has reappeared. Here he is. He trots down out of the tunnel. Eddie Smart. They must have got some smart technology sorted out, and it's we're able to resume again with the throw-in to Leeds, which is taken back to goalkeeper Perry. I'm looking forward to seeing how far he can actually throw it.
It's clearly something they're using, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a floater, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, it's not a low drilled throw, is it? It's a lob, isn't it? The old cricket lob from the boundary.
Well, it is. That's exactly what it's like. What was the furthest you could throw it?
I could throw it a long way.
Could you?
The further away from the goal, the better for me, John. You know that.
How far inside the opposition half?
Yeah, probably just about inside.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely not now, though.
No, well, yeah. It's out of play for a throw into Newcastle over on the far side. Leeds United 0, Newcastle United 0. If you just got back into your cars, as I mentioned, Manchester United winners against Burnley, and after squeezing through that one, they've only got Manchester City and Chelsea next. Longstaff is excellent in the challenge, but that's an overhit pass by Stack. Looking for the run of James. It's probably the right idea, but Stack apologises to James. It's through for a goal kick.
Really well-timed challenge initially from Longstaff, wasn't it? Newcastle sloppy in possession, ball into Bruno Gomes from Dan Burn. It was probably a half-hearted ball. Longstaff spotted it, snapped into the challenge, and then an overhit pass by Stack in the end.
So that is Paul Robinson with us here at Elland Road, where you used to play, Paul, in the Premier League. England World Cup goalkeeper. I mean, it must have put the the hairs up on the back of your neck when you were a player and you used to hear that marching on together before you came out for the match.
It still does. I mean, it's incredible. And like I say before the game, love them or loathe them, Leeds United, you cannot argue with the noise and the support that they have and the atmosphere inside this stadium, which will play a big part in their season this year.
Yes, and that's absolutely right. Some love them, some loathe them. Here's Livramento down the left-hand side for Jacob Ramsey, the new signing from Villa. Ball into the penalty area. That's controlled. Shot goalwards by Osula, but it hit the defender. It hit Goodmanson just inside the 6-yard box. Thought that was his moment there, given the chance to start by Eddie Howe for the first time for Newcastle in the Premier League. That was a chance, 10 yards out.
He looks sharp, Osula. Good play again down this left-hand side. Livramento, good interchange, and the ball's put across the 6-yard box. Comes to Osula. Leeds don't defend it very well. They don't clear the danger. They've given away the corner. He snaps at the shot. Finally get a block in just in front of the goalkeeper. Pascal Struijk initially tries to stop Osula on his left foot, and it's blocked by Goodmanson, the left back, tucking in. Corner for Newcastle.
I don't know how much you've seen of Osula, but he is, as we say, a bit of a bag of tricks. And he is quite gangly. He's tall, but it's the corner now. Trippier for Newcastle to the back post, but Perry is able to come. And the Raw will tell you, the Leeds United Raw, that he made a clean catch as well, hand stretched high above his head, and he bowls it out downfield for Gnonto to chase after, but Livramento was very aware of that threat, took the ball away. He's made a confident start. Livramento, just the one senior England cap so far, but as I know from having been at the under-21 tournament, the latter stages of that, he played such a big part for the England under-21s, as did Elliot Anderson, and I think that was quite a big part of his inclusion in the squad yesterday.
And also, you've been very close to the squad announcement, John, yesterday. In and around, you get the feeling, don't you? Thomas Tuchel said quite openly in his press conference, he gave the reasons as to why he selected certain players in certain positions, said that he's made the long list shorter, and for players like Livramento, it was a big coup for them to get into the squad yesterday.
Yes, Marcus Rashford in the squad. He'll be coming to St James's Park for the first match for Newcastle back in the Champions League this season. That was confirmed today. 8 o'clock, Thursday the 18th of September, Newcastle against Barcelona. Here is Longstaff in midfield. Remember him scoring for Newcastle against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, who they will also play this season, but this time just the one match, and it's in Paris.
It's happened to them again, Newcastle, hasn't it? I mean, you want the big games and you want the huge teams in the Champions League, but they've got a tough draw, Newcastle, again, haven't they?
Yeah, tough, but as the ball bounces at centre circle, that was a high foot on Tonali, which is given us a free kick by Peter Banks, the referee. Free kick to Newcastle. But, I would say the expectation would be that all 6 English clubs, I think it would be a big disappointment if even one of them were eliminated.
I think the big challenge for all the English clubs, Newcastle, Tottenham particularly, Newcastle more so, is to balance both the Premier League and the Champions League as well. I think squad depth will be tested by all the teams, but actually being in there this year and competing on both levels will be a challenge.
Yes, and Nick Voltemada in the stands. I had a good look at him during the summer as well. Free kick, Trippier takes this, glanced on, but all the way through, and Perry actually just pats it down and is able to run out to the edge of the area. Let's see if he's going to overarm this one out. He does, but it's short range, this one, over towards the left-hand side. It was military medium, that one, wasn't it? As then from the ground, long ball over the top. Botman got to that. Then there's a tumbling challenge centre field. Longstaff has certainly got stuck in the early stages. Dan James now curling it in, headed away by a diving Botman. And actually, the Newcastle player who went in on that challenge with Longstaff, Jacob Ramsey, has come off worse there. Although it was a good challenge by Longstaff on Ramsey, but he's slapping the turf, and referee Banks is waving on the the medical people.
At first glance, it looked to be something like that happened in the Chelsea-Fulham game in the early kick-off today, when they actually there was a coming together and maybe a standing on the opponent. I mean, we know what happened in the result in that game. The goal got disallowed. Something similar. I think the referee was ready to blow for a free kick, but actually he allowed play to go on. There was a tangle in the legs. It does look an uncomfortable one for Jacob Ramsey. You can see it's a painful one, but the referee, I think, was going to give Leeds the free kick, but allowed play to continue.
I think he's going to be okay. He's been looked at, but we will see. Leeds United 0, Newcastle United 0. 5 Live from the BBC. Tonight there will be a 6:06 with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton back in fashion. We'll let you know when the lines are open. Should be at half time. Highlights on Match of the Day tonight. So that match that Paul was talking about, 2-0 win for Chelsea, but certainly controversial. Jacob Ramsey still receiving treatment here. Bournemouth winning at another of your old clubs, Tottenham, this afternoon. So Tottenham 0, Bournemouth 1. Bit of a surprise. Wolves 2, Everton 3. And Sunderland winning 2-1 against Brentford. Jacob Ramsey has just been walked off the pitch, so I think he's going to be okay. When I was on the train last night, Paul, coming up from the England squad announcement, I was sitting with 2 Brentford fans who were going to the match today. They were very excited. One of them told me he'd never been as far north before as Newcastle United.
Did he have his passport?
Well, they're staying in they were staying in Newcastle and travelling into Sunderland.
Oh dear, I wonder if they made the game.
Well, they did ask me for some recommendations in Newcastle, so I pointed them towards Tynemouth and Whitley Bay. Throw-in Livramento will take. It's flicked on by Bruno Guimaraes, but Leeds have got it back. Ramsey still waiting to come back onto the pitch, so it looks as though he is going to be okay. That pass forward is overhit by Bogle and bounces all the way through to Nick Pope.
It's a decent open game, isn't it? I mean, we're 21 minutes into the game now. Neither side have had any real clear-cut opportunities. The goalkeepers haven't been scrambling, but both sides having good spells of possession, and there is spaces on the pitch. Neither seem to be set up that defensively to keep a clean sheet. It's fairly open.
Ball played through the middle. I thought Ossie, well, so did probably 20,000 Leeds United supporters. Thought he used his arm just to take the pace off that pass. As it is, it ran away from him, and it is Leeds who've got it back. In the Super League, Wakefield Trinity 8, Huddersfield 0 is latest score in the match that kicked off at 5:30. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. Bruno Guimaraes is able to pass the ball forward to Trippier, but then Jacob Murphy just keeps it in, actually, on the right hand side. They're shouting over there in the Jack Charlton stand that it went out of play, but I don't think it did. And then the cross actually came off the defender and has gone behind, came off Goodmanson, and it's behind for a Newcastle corner.
Did well initially, Jacob Murphy. Want to keep the ball in play. Once he's kept the ball in play, there's not many options. He's looked up and he's got himself a yard. He's looked to whip the ball into the box, taking a deflection off Goodmanson and got himself another set play.
So a corner this time from the right hand side. Tonali. It didn't look great, did it, when he injured his shoulder the other evening, but Eddie Howe kind of suggested he might be able to make it, and here he is. Such an important part of the midfield. If they'd lost Tonali and Joe Linton, but Tonali takes it back to Trippier, who curls it into the box. In fact, whipped it into the box, but it was headed away by Struijk. And now Leeds are off on the counter-attack towards the halfway line with Gnonto, but he's just slowed the break. Actually, Gruev plays it forward, back to Gnonto, and he's got some space here on the flanks, plays it into the 6-yard box, and it's all the way through to Nick Pope. Feet planted wide apart, and he was able to scoop it up just before Mecha slid in.
Really good sweeping counter-attack from Leeds, defending their own corner. The ball breaks. Willy Gnonto does really well, plays a 1-2 in the middle of the pitch with Gruev. Ball comes to Gnonto on the right hand side, puts a devilish ball across the 6-yard box. Nemecha just can't get the bottom of his studs on the ball.
And Paul, with Newcastle playing with these 3 central defenders for the most part, that's what Leeds need to do, isn't it? That's where the space is.
That's exactly where the space is. The 3 central defenders at times, they were defending their own corner there, Leeds, and the 3 central defenders were making their way back, but when they were making their way back, they were very, very narrow. And as you say, when Trippier and Livramento are caught out of position, the space is down the sides of those 3 central defenders.
Yeah, and as we look down now, you said it was like a fluid back 3. If you look down there now, it looks like Burn is actually the left back.
It looks like a 4, doesn't it, when they're in possession?
With Livramento further forward. And actually, Dan Burns now making a run through the middle, but the long pass is onto the chest of the bearded Bogle, who's able to take that down. And then Longstaff, his pass forward, Byrne just cuts that out. Longstaff and Byrne both scored on that night at St James's Park against Paris Saint-Germain. Here's Livramento in field. Bruno Guimaraes 30 yards out, but Leeds have got plenty of men back in position. And now Cher rolls one out towards the right-hand side for to Jacob Murphy. No flag yet. Jacob Murphy's crossed to the back post. Bogle heads it away, comes out to Tonali, takes it down, and then he is able just to touch it square to Bruno Guimaraes. That's a good ball. Jacob Murphy's pass right across the penalty area, but Bogle was able to make sure he got back in there and controlled it and cleared it before it came to the arriving Livramento behind him. Newcastle continue to press here. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. Newcastle losers on Monday night with that extraordinary, dramatic finish, that goal from the 16-year-old Rio Ungamoa. 0-0 at Aston Villa in their first match of the season. So 1 point from the 2 matches. Back it goes to the halfway line. Cher making 4 changes today. I have to say I was slightly surprised. Barnes and Alanga both on the substitutes bench.
Clearly Monday night against Liverpool took it out of them, didn't it? I mean, we're talking about Newcastle looking for the first win of the season, but I think the away game in the first game against Aston Villa, they were the better team and certainly unlucky not to get anything on Monday.
And Anthony Gordon starting the first of what is a 3-match suspension for that red card. Livramento, nice, takes on Bogle, round the outside towards the dead ball line. Bogle recovers, and right on the dead ball line, referee Banks says that the final touch was off Livramento, which has been much approved of by all of those Leeds United supporters behind in the Revy stand.
I'm liking Tino Livramento higher up on this left-hand side. He's already causing Leeds United problems. Jayden Bogle doesn't know whether to go tight or drop off. The interchange that he's had already with Ramsey and Asula, that's once or twice he's got to the byline, managed to get a cross in. That time he wasn't able to get anything.
Yeah, and Thomas Tuchel yesterday referenced the fact that Livramento could play as left back, but of course he can play in this position as well. Leeds though playing it forward. Mecha, that's a good challenge on the edge of the box. They're howling for a free kick or a penalty for the challenge by Botman. Nothing doing from the referee. Newcastle break away downfield. Jacob Murphy goes through the challenge, still going. Oh, that's a good ball right across the 6-yard box. Ursula couldn't get there, but Trippier has been able to take up possession on the far side, and Goodmanson stabs it out for Newcastle throw.
That's such a good ball from Jacob Murphy, it really is. Right down beneath us here on this left-hand side, almost level the 18-yard box. He whips it in between goalkeeper and defence, just tantalising somebody to tap it into an empty net. Wonderful ball from Jacob Murphy.
I think VAR have had a look at that challenge from Botman, you know, on the edge of the area on Mecha, because referee Banks just said wait a moment, but play continues. Right decision.
Well, you do have the ability to look at that very small screen that's quite a distance from me. I couldn't really see that one, John.
Throw-in taken. Trippier gets it back. In comes the ball, headed down by Strout, and then Jacob Ramsey on the edge of the area wouldn't come down for him, so the volley was straight into the defender. Then over the top free kick given for Burns. Clumsy challenge, physical challenge, whatever you want to call it, on Rodon, free kick to Leeds.
We're seeing that a lot more, aren't we? Teams are making a lot more emphasis on the set plays, the long throw-ins. They're not afraid to put the ball into the box. You know, gone are the days now where we put our hand and play quickly in and around the box. Teams are using them as an opportunity to bring their centre-backs forward, deliver the ball into the box and create goal-scoring opportunities.
Livramento's really caught the eye, as I mentioned there, you know, and this is the role that he played at times for Lee Carsley during the summer, you know, marauding forward.
I think it really suits him, and I like the way that Newcastle look, in all honesty, in this formation. They generally do play the 4-3-3, but actually with the players that he's got available to him, with Botman, Shah and Byrne, natural 3 centre-backs, and allowing Livramento to push higher up the field, he certainly looks a real threat.
Yep, just the one senior cap so far. He's actually not yet played under Thomas Tuchel, but I don't think I am sticking my neck out when I say I'm sure he will. Well, Bruno Guimaraes is dispossessed by Stack. Now Mecha with Pirro on the bench, but he's passed that ball behind Gnonto, who's going to do well to keep it in, which he does actually, as the rain suddenly intensifies again. Now, here in West Yorkshire, next to the motorway, it's absolutely thrashing down. Won't be too clever on the M62 in this weather. Here's James on the right, playing it up towards the edge of the Stack in the centre of the field. Tonali, though, is able to rob it off and then drags it back, and he's been fouled centre field, and that is a free kick to Newcastle United. It remains 0-0. It was his 52nd birthday, Thomas Tuchel, yesterday.
Did you wish him happy birthday? Did you get to spend any time with him?
Well, I said to him, how are you enjoying your birthday? And he said, yes, my 52nd birthday, I'm spending it with you and your colleagues in the media. It's a birthday I will never forget. Got the impression he'd rather be somewhere else.
He's got the sarcasm already, has he?
Yeah, you see, he is very dry, very dry. And he has Byrne long and forward. It bounces all the way through to goalkeeper Perry. So it is, it's quite the move, isn't it, to bring Voltemada in for, nearly £70 million for a 23-year-old, but very highly rated, and I have to say, he really caught my eye. Scored 6 goals at the tournament during the summer. And yes, it's an under-21 tournament, but really, he was given the newcomer of the year award in the Bundesliga last season for his 17 goals for Stuttgart.
They're really paying for potential, aren't they, and what they're potentially getting. I mean, there's never been a transfer fee paid for him on loan at Werder Bremen. 31 league games, 10 goals, 28 league games last year, 12 goals. There's certain potential there, and he can play as the second striker. If you do your research on him and you look at the information, everything that you read about him says he's a second striker, but he has the ability to play as that number 9. I think it's a really astute signing, I do.
He did for the under-21s. Bogle playing it forward, but that's got too much on it. Will bounce all the way through for a goal kick. In fact, it just bounces and hits the post and goes out for hits the corner flag, I should say, not hits the post, and bounces out for a throw-in instead. But he played as the second striker for the most part for the under-21s, and sometimes actually on the left-hand side, cutting in as part of the front 3. So he is very adaptable. Ball up, 6'6" as well. Here is Ossola battling for it in between 2 Leeds players, and in the end Leeds are able to win possession back, and it's played back to goalkeeper Perry. Bogle just inside his own half. He's going to go on a weaving run here, the right back. Tonali runs with him, still going Bogle, and then in the end Bruno Guimaraes is the one who puts in the challenge, and Newcastle have got it back.
I think the best option was Willy Gnonto on the left-hand side. He made a real darting run there. Bogle just seemingly kept to keep opening up in front of him, and the pass was on for Gnonto, but he just took it that one stride too far.
Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. So we'll find out, won't we, by Monday, 7 o'clock, whether Alexander Isak gets that move to Liverpool or not. And interesting to hear Pat Murphy saying earlier, Jurgen Strand Larsen not playing for Wolverhampton Wanderers today.
Well, he always said he wanted 2, Eddie Howe, didn't he? He always said that he wanted 2, and what we just said there about Voltemada being that second striker, that's not necessarily a direct replacement for Isak.
Stacking with the challenge on Bruno Guimaraes there, which the Leeds United supporters felt was a great challenge. Referee Banks thought it was a Newcastle free kick just outside the penalty area.
He brings that, Anton Stack. I saw him in pre-season against AC Milan, the game that Leeds played higher up with a more advanced role, but he's certainly not afraid of his defensive duties. Good combative midfielder. I think he'll be an asset for Leeds this season.
Yep, created 7 chances so far in the Premier League, more than anyone else this season. Stack, the German international who was signed from Hoffenheim for around about £17 million. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0, and a flick by Jacob Murphy to Trippier, but Struijk is able to step forward, the captain, in the absence of Ampadu, and Struijk again. Gudmundsson. This is all very tight for Leeds, still inside their own half, but applause as it goes back towards the edge of the penalty area. Leeds United, who've not lost at home in the league for almost a year. Pass forward from Struijk, a long one. Gnonto gets it down, edge of the area, cutting infield. Nemecha with a touch, but Mecha's touch took it behind Longstaff. Newcastle hadn't got it away. Longstaff gets it back, then he gives it to Stack. Left foot shot, wide though, by a couple of yards to the left of the goal as he looked at it.
First real sighting at goal from Leeds from distance. Good play again. This time it's just one long direct ball over the top from Pascal Struijk. Newcastle defence, half of them break out. One stays in, it's Dan Burn, I think. Plays Willy Gnonto on side. It's all a little bit untidy and congested on the edge of the box for Leeds. But when it does finally break to Stack, gets himself half a yard. Left foot shot, doesn't trouble Nick Pope.
So Leeds 0, Newcastle United 0. That's Paul Robinson. As I say, the England-Samoa match continues on Sports Extra as Newcastle give it away. And Longstaff to Gnonto. Gnonto, but he's running into congestion there. It's actually fortunate. Bounce of the ball takes it to Longstaff. Now Bogle as Leeds United attack the Norman Hunter end of Elland Road to our right. Flick from Bogle. Ooh, and that's a clumsy challenge by Botman. Leeds get it back, then Goodmanson all the way across to the back post. There were two Leeds United players there, Bogle and Dan James, arriving beyond the far post, and I think the pass was probably just beyond both of them, but they might have got in one another's way. Goal kick.
That's the best passage of play that Leeds United have had in this first half. First time they've really got the ball wide. Everything's been narrow and central down the middle. Newcastle have found it easy to defend. This time it goes out to the left-hand side to Goodmanson, and the left-back with his instep fires it across the 6-yard box, and with the rain and the wet pitch, zips across the 6-yard box, and Dan James just can't quite get a connection.
Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. The odd drip of rain coming through the corrugated iron roof above our heads, the old roof. As Rodon is able to clear that away. James shields the ball from Ramsey, and then with Eddie Howe just coming out towards the edge of his coaching area there in front of the next to the action. Longstaff back to Perry, who took a touch and then cleared it with Ossola arriving on the scene.
Didn't want that, the goalkeeper, at all, did he? Did not want that back pass.
Long one comes forward. Bogle's missed his kick, but then was able to recover and actually was able to get to it first himself, clear it away. Livramento with a touch, but Leeds are able to clear through. Rodon, Joe Rodon, who was in Craig Bellamy's Wales squad, like Dan James. They've got a World Cup qualifier in Kazakhstan coming up over the course of the next couple of weeks. Nick Pope, well out of his penalty area, slips as he puts the ball out. He came way out of his goal to his left and then stepped on the artificial section just off the grass, slipped, and I think there was a question of whether he impeded. Was it Bogle who was there? He did, didn't he? So he's been yellow carded for that.
Yeah, he came a long way out of his goal there, Nick Pope. He made a decision to come, and it was a long ball over the top. It was initially the right decision from the goalkeeper. He cleaned it up really well, but then actually what he realised was he was a long way from his goal, so he had to impede Leeds United from taking the throw-in quickly. Once you've gone that far as a goalkeeper, you have to stay committed, and he stayed committed, kicked the ball up into the stand, and then after that he made a real mess of everything.
Do you see what he also did? He kicked one ball into the stand, but then as he slipped off the pitch, he actually kicked away another ball that was on one of the little cones.
Sensible, if you ask me. I'd have done exactly the same thing, and that's what he got booked for.
Yep. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0, delaying the restart, as they call it. Newcastle give it away. Gruev, who's playing in that role for the injured Ampadu. Leeds have done well here, certainly had more of the game than they did at Arsenal this time last week, if you were listening then. Gruev again, chalk and cheese though, that day. I mean, that was Arsenal's day. Talk about choreographing the first home Premier League match of the season when they announced Eza as their new signing before the match. The place was absolutely bouncing. And Leeds were the proverbial lambs to the slaughter. As Botman, that's a physical challenge on Mecha, who went to ground. Free kick forward to the centre circle. And this is the Elland Road effect you're hearing here.
He's not had much joy in the Mecha, but what he has done, he's an old-fashioned type centre forward. When a 26-year-old is experienced, he's been around the block. Manchester City Academy, wasn't he? Had some really good loans when he was a youngster. He's strong, he backs into the central defenders and he holds the ball up, and he's won his team a free kick. But they've chose to play it short and a rotating possession. What
about that decision, Paul? You know, Pirro, the top scorer from last season, top scorer in the Championship last season, but started the first three matches, Mecha in for this one.
I can only think it was something to do with the Sheffield Wednesday performance in midweek, where they lost in the Cup. I mean, you've got to give Sheffield Wednesday so much credit for the way that they played. I mean, the team was full of 19 and 20-year-olds.
Nontil cutting in from the left there, shooting on the edge of the area, took a deflection which carried it wide of goal. Sorry, Paul, corner to Leeds coming.
And you can only think it was Pirro's lack of ambition or lack of performance in that game. I mean, you look at Calvert-Lewin, who came on, James Justin obviously signed. There's players that maybe didn't played the self out of the team, in all honesty. But as I say, in a second breath, you've got to give Sheffield Wednesday so much credit for a club that's in the state that it's in, and the way that those youngsters played on Tuesday night against Leeds. It was a phenomenal performance.
Corner then, Leeds' first corner. Stack takes it to the near post, took a glance which carried it out here to the right-hand side, the Leeds right. Dan James is able to reach the ball first. Takes on Tonali, deep cross to the back post. Jacob Murphy, heavy touch, that's given it away to Stack. Gnonto now, left corner of the box, cuts in field past Trippier, then shoots, blocked inside the penalty area, bounces out to Osula, and Osula then running it away downfield. Gnonto puts in the challenge, that is given us a free kick as as Osula goes sliding across the surface, and because Newcastle were on the break there, I think it's debatable. He is going to be booked, Gnonto.
Yeah, he just caught him, didn't he? He looked like he'd broken away Osula, breaking at the Leeds defenders that were trying to track back. Gnonto, I think it was more frustration than anything else. He's playing on the left-hand side today, Gnonto, and when he causes himself problems, obviously he's right-footed, he wants to cut inside, but that's where Newcastle want him with those three central defenders. Every time that Gnonto cuts inside, he's running into the Newcastle back three, which is playing into their hands, and he's frustrated.
Daniel Farke's throwing up his arms again. That's his response to that yellow card for Gnonto. He went for another throw of the arm in the air as well, for good measure. He's got that light jacket on, the black jacket with the little hood, which you certainly do need today, although I think the rain has just eased. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. 5 minutes to go to half-time, so we'll have more interviews. We'll hear from more of the afternoon's main protagonists from the Premier League at half-time. Chelsea, Manchester United, Bournemouth, Everton and Sunderland, all winners this afternoon. Middlesbrough now 4 wins out of 4 in the league and top of the Championship after their 1-0 win against Sheffield United. But there'll be more on all of that at half-time, and as I say, we will be hearing from a string of the main movers. Here's Bruno Guimaraes, ran a kilometre further than anyone else on Monday night, the statistics showed. Out to Livramento on the left-hand side. Livramento to Tonali, no signs of him struggling with the shoulder problem in this opening half. Not sure how much he'll have been able to train this week though. Out to the right-hand side to the veteran Kieran Trippier, 35 next month. Now the ball on the right-hand side is swept all the way across where Jacob Murphy stretching. Actually, it went out of play before Murphy was able to stretch and volley it back across, so it is a goal kick to Leeds United, and the score is 0-0.
Newcastle in the same way as Leeds, they've had most of their joy when they get in those wide areas, flash balls across the 6-yard box, whether it's Murphy on the right, Ramsey on the left hand side. Osula's not been able to get into the box and get on the end of any of them, but for both sides the spaces that's appearing is down the sides of the 18-yard boxes.
Yep, it's been entertaining, it's had a good pace to it, but actually in terms of clear-cut chances, Osula's opportunity the best. Yeah, probably. It's been a good watch. It'd be hard to argue as to who was the better side. Both sides have had their spells of possession in opposition half in the game. It feels like it's bubbling under the surface. So 0-0 half-time approaching. If you're listening to Ian Dennis this afternoon, he will now be on his bike and heading up to Glasgow. 12 o'clock kickoff tomorrow, Rangers Celtic. You'll hear that, Ian and Pat Nevin with the commentary, so 5 Live Sport on the air at 10 to 12 tomorrow. There's plenty on that, isn't there? Gnonto playing the ball in from the left-hand side, but Bruno Guimaraes groans from the home supporters as Guimaraes cuts it out, and then Newcastle go back to the edge of the penalty area, and then forward here to Livramento on the left-hand side. Osula making ground after holding the ball up on the halfway line. Tonali, then to Livramento. The thing is, Osula with Voltemada now here, possibly another striker. I'm not sure when the next time he'll get an opportunity like this to play as Newcastle's centre forward. Livramento again. Leeds dropping back to the edge of the penalty area. Tonali, right-footed, right out to Trippier. Takes it down, Trippier to Murphy. Jacob Murphy shooting straight at Perry, who's able to stand up tall and just sort of stun it behind, parry it to his left and behind for a corner. That's one thing with Perry, he's very aware of his angles and where he is, his positional sense in the goal. Makes it look easy at times, doesn't always look very, very orthodox. But I think he did exactly the same last season for Lyon. Saw him a lot of times in the Europa League, specifically against Manchester United. He's a big, imposing goalkeeper. Doesn't often rush towards the ball, but quite often gets his angles correct. Corner then for Newcastle from there. Out swinger, which is headed away by Metcha. And then Tonali. Home supporters think he used an arm to control that. Referee Banks says play on. Jacob Ramsey, Bruno Guimaraes finds the pass. Penalty area on the left-hand side. Cher curls it in, and it just drops over the top of the crossbar and lands on the roof of the net. Referee says it took a deflection, so it's a corner. Fabian Sharp, there's a lovely ball by Bruno. Shah still up from the previous corner, gets it onto his right foot inside the 18-yard box, loops it up and over, one of those that could just fall into the far post. Took a deflection off Bogle on its way, landed on the roof of Perry's net. Gives Newcastle another set play right over there on the far side. Yes, Lucas Perry, all in orange, slapping his gloves together, waiting as Tonali takes this corner, and again can't beat Metcha at the near post. He's He's able to head it away for Leeds United. Comes back to Tonali on the right, and that cross is also blocked by Mecha, who was much closer to Tonali this time. Stuck out a leg, out of play for a throw to Newcastle on the right.
Doesn't do anything, John, when you slap your gloves together, unless you're trying to get a lot of water out of them. I think it's more for effect. Yeah, he could be. There might be kind of a bit of water now, but he's done well, Perry. He's got his angles right. He's looked strong. He's looked steady, and he's a calming influence behind the back floor after Illan Meslier. I think it was time for him to come out of the side. He spent money on Perry, and he looks at this time to be a good signing.
And Meslier is, well, I mean, I have to say, I thought he might have already moved on.
Surprised he hasn't.
Certainly, totally out of the picture. And the former Newcastle goalkeeper Carl Darlow is the substitute keeper. Here is Tonali. He's such a fixture as well for such a long time, wasn't he? Over 200 appearances, Meslier.
You forget how young he is, and he's a top quality goalkeeper whose confidence is just shot. He needs a fresh start.
Nice ball, Bruno Guimaraes to Jacob Ramsey, forward and to his left. Now to the left hand side to Livramento. Livramento putting his foot on the ball, moving from left then back to right, and then Tonali behind him, square now for a curling effort from Cher, who can hit them, but over the top left corner for a goal kick for Leeds United, and we're into added time at the end of the first half, and there will be 4 minutes of it, a minimum of 4 minutes.
Yeah, not where Newcastle United would ideally want Fabian Cher. 25 yards from goal on his left foot, attempts the speculative, very much a lot of lean back in that strike, and ended up in the cop behind Perry's goal.
Goal kick then, Wakefield Trinity 18, Huddersfield 0. The latest score in the Super League, as I say, Rangers Celtic, that's on 5 Live tomorrow. Brighton Manchester City, that's on 5 Live. And then Liverpool Arsenal, the small matter of, at 4:30 tomorrow. Dion Dublin will be with me at Anfield for that. And Nottingham Forest West Ham on Sports Extra 2 tomorrow, because the Dutch Grand Prix will be on Sports Extra with Piastri on pole. Checkered Flag podcast on BBC Sounds for all of the chat. Here's Bogle, goes back to goalkeeper Perry, right-footed clearance from him, disappeared out of our sight above the roof of the John Charles stand, and Leeds go back towards the edge of the penalty area. Mentioning John Charles, Norman Hunter, a new book, a new biography of Jimmy Armfield dropped through my letterbox this morning, written by our former colleague Roy Kelly, which I'm very much looking forward to reading. Here, Stack is able to get the ball down. Stack takes it on towards the edge of the penalty area, plays it to James. James in the full-back position, now into the box, and then the left-footed cross towards the back post, where it drops over Gnonto and keeps it in. Gnonto then to Gudmundsson, all left foot, actually uses his right to give it to Gnonto. Gnonto up against Trippier. Trippier telling Bruno Guimaraes to his left where to go. Still Gnonto, and he's overhit that. Groans from Leeds United throats, and it's through for a goal kick.
Frustration again, as I say, Gnonto on that left-hand side. He seems to be a one-trick pony in the first half. Every time he gets the ball, he's cutting inside on his right foot. He's so predictable. Newcastle are finding it very, very easy to defend against.
So Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. Yes, I sat up here with Jimmy Armfield many times, probably on a number of those occasions, watching you, Paul.
It must have been a long time ago.
I remember sitting watching the Champions League matches with Jimmy as a former Leeds United manager. Managed them in the European Cup final, which any Leeds United fan who can remember that will tell you all about that. There's still a sense of bitterness, isn't there, about that? Back in 1975, as it's headed forward for Leeds United of 2025. Gruev challenged there. There's a feeling that he might have been fouled. Tonali, though, is able to take up possession and take it down the right-hand side, and then gets the ball in low into the penalty area, but Strauch got there first for Leeds. Cher puts the challenge in on Mecha. Dan James is under the loose ball, then Cher steps in and concedes a free kick, which he disputes. And the way James is reacting, it's suggesting that I think he stood on his hand, and so he's still feeling that, still down on his knees. And Joe Rodon is actually suggesting to Gnonto, rather than belting forward, to put it out of play. But Leeds are in possession, and we're in added time at the end of the first half. In fact, we're in the final minute of added time. So more reaction to the afternoon's happenings coming up very shortly, and we'll get the latest as well on England's big lead that they have against Samoa in the Rugby Union World Cup. But Leeds Still perhaps one final chance. Forward from Bogle. Metcha stretching for it. And actually Botman has gone out there with him, put the challenge in, and the ball runs away, but actually that's it. That's the half-time whistle. And it is 0-0. I mean, lots of energy, lots of intent, lots of positivity from Leeds without actually testing Nick Pope. And Newcastle, that early chance for Osula, shot from Murphy that was saved, the deflected effort from Cher onto the roof of the net. Paul Robinson.
Stay listening wherever you are. If you're in the car, go the longer route home. We've got more to come. This one just feels like it's bubbling under the surface, like I said in commentary there. Both sides have had their efforts going forward. They've had decent spells of possession in each other's halves. Asula, Murphy and Ramsey have looked lively for Newcastle. Nyonto very predictable on the left-hand side for Leeds at times. Dan James looks lively. Game's yet to catch fire. There's more to come.
Take the long route home. It's not very sustainable. But I suppose they could stop and charge their cars.
There you go. Always thinking, John.
Half-time, Leeds 0, Newcastle 0.
I'm not sure it's worth going the long way home at the moment. Are you?
Well, it stops you putting the telly on and watching it. You can keep listening to us.
You're not enjoying marching on together, Mark?
A lot to get in during half-time. Thank you very much. Let's go to Manchester United's Women in Champions League action. Ben Croucher.
21 minutes gone. Manchester United 0, Hammarby 0. Confident start from Mark Skinner's side. They've gone close already. Elizabeth Turlin's seen one saved after a good run by Toon. Anna Sandberg's blasted over as well. Survived a bit of a goal-mouth scramble at the other end, but still 0-0.
A couple of other games going on at the moment. In fact, all the tea time games are 0-0. Brackley Town 0, Scunthorpe 0 in the National League. In Scottish League 1, the tea time game is Hamilton Cove Rangers, and that is goalless. Just a couple of other scores to point you in the direction of. You can watch the Bundesliga on the BBC this year every Friday, or one Friday night game you can see on the BBC Sport website and the iPlayer. This evening, Bayern Munich are 2-0 up at Augsburg, and Luis Diaz has got the second goal there. And Rangers fans may or may not be interested in this, but Hamza Igerman played for Lille today. Obviously, Rangers sold him this week. Lille were at Lorient. At half-time, it was goalless. After 76, he came on at half-time, by the way. After 76 minutes, it was Lorient 1, Lille 2. By full-time, it was Lorient 1, Lille 7. And Hamza Igerman had scored 2 of those. So he's off the mark for Lille. The headlines elsewhere today. Bruno Fernandes got a last-minute penalty for Manchester United as they beat Burnley 3-2. Wilson Isidore scored for Sunderland as they beat Brentford 2-1. Everton won 3-2 at Wolves. Bournemouth beat Tottenham 1-0. Chelsea are top after a controversial 2-0 win over Fulham. Middlesbrough's 100% record continues in the Championship. They're top. Stoke lost theirs with a home defeat to West Brom. Cardiff are top of League One. They beat Plymouth 4-0. And Gillingham have gone ahead of Crewe and Chesterfield to the top of League Two. Crewe beaten at home. Chesterfield drew. Hearts are top of the Scottish Premiership after a late winner at Livingston. To some of the other live sport going on. England-Samoa in the Women's Rugby Union World Cup. James Burridge.
And England leading by 68. Make that 73 points to 3 mark. They've just gone and scored again in the left-hand corner. 4 tries in this second half. Kelsey Clifford, Jess Breach, Mackenzie Carson. It looks like Claudia Maloney-McDonald's gone in on that left-hand side. But actually, probably the best moment of this game was when Samoa won a penalty against an England scrum and Harmony Vatal kicked a penalty through the post. The Samoan crowd went absolutely berserk. It may only have been 3 points, but for Samoa it meant the world. 73-3 England lead.
Scotland beat Fiji. They're through to the quarterfinals. Wales are out after being beaten by Canada. Russell Fuller at day 7 of the US Open. Next.
Where Coco Gauff has put in her best serving performance of the week to beat Magdalena Frech 6-3, 6-1 and reach the last 16. She's not playing with her usual joy, but she's navigated the first 3 rounds successfully while remodelling her service action under a strong public gaze. And she'll play Naomi Osaka next if Osaka beats Daria Kasatkina in a match just about to begin. Meanwhile, on the Arthur Ashe Stadium, Yannick Sinner getting underway against the seeded Denis Shapovalov.
Thank you, Russell. Northern Superchargers women made it through the eliminator to tomorrow's final to take on Southern Brave. Can their men do the double? Henry Moran.
Well, happily at the moment, play is taking place despite the forecast suggesting we might struggle to get a game in, and an early breakthrough for the Trent Rocket. Zach Crawley edging to Joe Root, his England teammate. Third ball to be dismissed by David Willey for a duck. The Rockets finished second in the group, so if this game were to be washed out, they would qualify ahead of the Superchargers. At the moment, play ongoing. The score 2 from the first 6 balls for the Superchargers, but they have lost their opener and top run scorer Zach Crawley early on.
Oscar Piastri will be on pole for the Dutch Grand Prix, having beaten his teammate Lando Norris to pole. Reaction to the day's Premier League football to come after Fraser Dainton.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon. A council in Essex, which has been taking legal action to stop a hotel being used to house asylum seekers, says it's considering whether to take its case to the Supreme Court. Yesterday, the Court of Appeal ruled that the Bell Hotel in Epping could be used for the purpose, reversing an earlier ban. The head of the International Red Cross has condemned Israel's plans to force the population of Gaza City to leave. Marijana Spoljurovic said that many people would be unable to go because they're starving, sick or badly injured, and that no area of Gaza would be able to cope with such an exodus. Yemen's Houthi movement has confirmed that Israeli strikes on the capital Sana'a earlier this week killed the group's prime minister and several of his colleagues. The Houthis, who are backed by Iran, have been exchanging attacks with Israel since the start of the conflict in Gaza. And the NHS is rolling out a new type of stethoscope that could help medics detect different heart conditions in a matter of seconds. The device uses AI to analyse differences in heartbeats and blood flow that human ears can't detect.
After 5 punishing weeks,
the atmosphere was so intense.
13 players have been on the adventure of a lifetime.
There's so many twists and turns.
This game is killing me.
But it all comes down to one final question. Where the X are we?
How do you know what's a clue and what's not a clue and what's a red herring? It's tough.
Destination X.
Oh my word.
Watch all episodes on BBC iPlayer. This is 5 Live Sports with Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Second half on the way from Ellen Road, where it's Leeds 0, Newcastle 0, then 6:06 with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton, 08085 909 693. Plenty of stories to react to in the Premier League this afternoon. Sunderland's Wilson Isidore's had some week. He turned 25 on Wednesday. His daughter was born yesterday, and he got a 96th minute winner for Sunderland against Brentford today.
For me, it feels like I'm still in a dream, but the noise wake me up and make me understand where I am. So that's why I make explode my emotion so loud, because the fans yesterday, they were so nice with me. They was only congratulate me for my daughter. So I'm just so happy to give them back now the feeling, and I hope they're proud of it, because I'm proud of.
Can I ask, how much sleep have you actually had?
Wow. During the last 24 hours, I didn't have a lot of sleep, probably 5 or something like that. But yeah, it was really important for me to be here with the team, because we got a fantastic group. Each of us, we are so good guys, so good players. And even the way they welcomed me today, before when I arrived, they were just so amazing guys. I'm so proud to be in that team. I have no words, sorry.
And just finally, in terms of the home support, you mentioned the noise of the fans when that goal went in. Can this be the thing that you build your season on, this crowd at the stadium?
Oh yeah, 100%. As I say, people know it, but we got the best fan in England for me. They're just so amazing. I think that noise, what's happening today when I scored, oh my God, I still have the goosebumps when I'm talking about it.
Vicky Sparks with the questions. Win for Sunderland, win for Everton as well. 3-2 at Wolves, couple of assists for Jack Grealish. Here's David Moyes.
I thought we played really well. We started the game great, got an early goal. Wolves had their moments as well, but I thought we had played well. We limited them to few opportunities. But hey, look, any away win in the Premier League I think is a really good win, and we're really pleased to come here and win.
I think most people would say you were comfortably the better of the sides out there today. Should it have been a greater margin of victory in the end?
We made it really hard. We gave away 2 goals completely unlike, I think, what I would be expecting from them, and probably the players would expect of themselves. We let them back into it a little bit. I didn't think we were under too much danger for long periods in the game. We also had 3 or 4 opportunities on the break where we didn't quite make the right pass or the right choice to maybe get the 4th goal. But look, as I said, it's just a really good win to come here and get the points.
You could pick out any number of players in your side that played well today, like Njai or Garner in midfield, but Jack Grealish has now got 4 assists in 2 games for you. What specific instructions have you given to him to get the best out of him?
Well, I think Jack knows how he is, and I'm not taking any credit for how Jack Grealish is doing. All I can do is put him out, but let me tell you, he's making a big difference and he's helping us greatly in lots of ways, whether it be assists, whether his presence on the field. Lots of things he's doing is really good, and look, all credit to him as well. He's playing the minutes. He's not played many minutes and not had games sort of regular recently, but he's playing the minutes and wants to do it, and played in midweek as well. So he's had 3 games in a week, and all credit to him.
James Fielden with the questions. 3 defeats from 3 now for Vitor Pereira.
We could and we should be better. Cannot commit this kind of mistakes, because every time we commit a mistake, they punish us with a goal, and we are conceding. We are offering goals. Mentally, we must go there and compete since the first minute. And what I saw, we try to prepare them to start with this mentality, but today I didn't show again. When we react to compete with them and equalize, and after the mistake come. Second half, we start with another mistake, and like this is difficult. We need to stabilize the team after the market, and try to be better next time.
Evan Nielsen got the only goal as Bournemouth won 1-0 at Spurs. Here's Antoine Semenyo.
We definitely had our fair chances. I felt like overall we played really well. We dominated most of the game and we made it uncomfortable for them. They couldn't build and they had very few chances. So overall, good team performance.
You're on an understanding, it would seem you created almost at will opportunities. You'd be a bit disappointed. I think you had a header not long in the first 10 minutes, not long after you scored. And then he got edgy, which it probably shouldn't have done.
Yeah, I was pretty frustrated with that chance, if I'm honest. It's playing on my mind a little bit, but I know I just need to get myself in those positions and I'll get another chance. I think for the first 10 seconds after that chance I was a bit frustrated, but I knew I still got a long shift to do. So just kept focused, kept my head in the game and tried to cause as many problems as I could. So, yeah.
6 points from 9 now for both Bournemouth and Spurs. Manchester United beat Burnley 3-2 at Old Trafford. A 96th minute penalty from Bruno Fernandes was the winner after VAR judged that Jadon Anthony had pulled Ahmad down in the box. Earlier in the game, Burnley thought they'd taken the lead, though VAR intervened to rule that offside. Here's Scott Parker.
The game's just not the game that I knew, really. The game's become the most sterile, theatrical game there is, and we see that today, really. You can't celebrate anymore. I think you're probably a year away from no one ever celebrating a goal. You have to go through every single check from 2, 3, 4 phases before it. You have to check if it's offside, if it's onside. The human nature of the game in terms of referees and linesmen, games will be reffed by robots soon. There ain't no point. And obviously the decision today, while I understand he's got his shirt, on-field decision was no penalty. So at that moment, obviously, VAR has stepped in and deem it as a clear and obvious penalty. I don't think I'm being biased in any way. That's the way the game's gone a little bit, and that's just the way it is. That's we have to move with it.
He sounds very fed up there, does Scott Parker. There were several odd decisions, to be polite, in the game at Stamford Bridge, which Chelsea won 2-0 against Fulham. That has taken them to the top of the table, ahead of tomorrow's fixtures, which include Liverpool-Arsenal, here on 5 Live in full from 4:30. A lot to talk about, Chris Sutton.
Yes, good evening, Mark. Scott Parker there, interesting that the most sterile theatrical game he described today, and games will be reffed by robots. I mean, do you agree with Scott? A member of production, Mark, said this, not me. Did that Manchester United win save Ruben Amorim's job? I think that's maybe Are
you thinking that and just blaming a member of production for...
Well, I think I should. Even that's a bit strong for me. What I would say, Tottenham fans, reality check today for you. Sunderland, I think I got you wrong. Our home games, the key for you this season to keep you up. And Jack Grealish, what an impact he's making at Everton. I think David Moyes, that interview, said he's making a big difference in lots of ways. And Vitor Pereira, they should would and should be better. Wolves, are you worried, Wolves fans, about staying in the Premier League this season?
What about the Fulham decisions?
Yeah, I thought, I've got to say, I thought Fulham were really hard done by. I've seen Chelsea have announced Garnacho signing, and the Chris Sutton derby, Mark. Norwich edged that one. Norwich City fans want to hear from you on the way back. Josh Sargent, is he the key for a promotion push? And what about Ipswich getting a penalty, scoring a penalty 16 minutes into injury
What about
time?
Ipswich signing a Norwich player?
Blimey. Yeah. A lot of the farmers around me, Mark, very angry about that. They feel he's a bit of a traitor. Marcelino Nunes.
Is that you saying that, or is that a member of the production team?
No, that's a local farmer near me. Very upset about that. You can't do that, Mark. That's a no-no. Big rivalry, that. Let's hear from Norwich fans and Ipswich fans.
I noticed you did your predictions today against Orlando Bloom. Is that the kind of level you're now matched with?
Well, we spoke on Zoom earlier this week.
Did you?
And no, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Give us some acting tips, did you? I can imagine you would.
Heard of me. He probably heard of Shearer. Probably hasn't heard of me, but there you go. Yeah, that's who I'm mixing with these days.
I know. You're not on the Monday Night Club anymore. You weren't on Monday. It's because you're hobnobbing with Orlando Bloom.
That's right, yeah.
Right, thank you very much, Chris. They're here at the end of Leeds against Newcastle. I hope you've delayed that journey in the car. You're probably just going round and round and round and roundabout just to hear Paul Robinson and John Murray for the next 45 minutes.
And tell Chris that East Anglian farmers will actually be happy because it's raining, and they've wanted rain all summer, and they've got rain now, so they'll actually be happy.
I'll pass that on, thank you.
Well, the rain is absolutely thrashing itself down on Elland Road again, and Newcastle have made a change. Paul Robinson at the start of the second half. Jacob Ramsey, who did pick up a knock in the first half, his first start for Newcastle has lasted only 45 minutes. So Lewis Miley is on into the midfield. Newcastle take the kick-off, and Tonali goes for touch down the right-hand side, a throw-in to Leeds near their left corner flag.
Really interesting to see. We've seen a tactic deployed by quite a few teams now. From the kick-off, Tonali makes no apologies, like a rugby union kick. Kicks for touch within 10 yards of the corner flag, and immediately Newcastle put everybody almost to a man in the corner to try and press Leeds high and win the ball back in their final third.
It is Leeds 0, Newcastle 0 with the second half underway. Leeds as they started the match. Botman's just playing the ball back to Nick Pope. So Leeds with Perry in goal, Bogle, Rodon, Strauch the captain, and Gudmundsson the back four. Then Gruev with Sean Longstaff, the man who left Newcastle this summer, and Anton Stack in the midfield, Daniel James on the right, Gnonto on the left, and Mecha through the middle. Leeds yet to create a clear-cut chance in the match, and Newcastle with Leeds attacking towards the Revy stand in the second half, as they like to do. Newcastle with this sort of fluid back line today. Eddie Howe making the four changes, and he's obviously had to make a change at half-time. So Pope in goal, Botman, Scher and Byrne, with Trippier on the right, Livramento pushing forward on the left, and now Guimaraes, Tonali and Miley in the midfield, Jacob Murphy and Will Osula getting his first Premier League start for Newcastle as the centre forward. Tonali getting the ball down. Newcastle United in this sort of purpley blue kit, shirt, shorts, socks with the orange trim, the orange stripes down the sides and on the shoulders, and Newcastle losing possession. Livramento has dispossessed James, running at the Newcastle defence. He's got Bogle on the overlap, but Byrne was able to go down, put the challenge in. I think he might have just taken a crack on his shin, Byrne, and actually the referee's given that as a free kick to Newcastle for Bogle's challenge.
Coming together of the legs, wasn't it? Both of them. Actually, it's one of those that really hurts, but the pair of them are rolling around on the ground, looking at each other, Dan Byrne and Bogle, laughing at each other. They know it's a sore one. Bogle's jumped up in the air, he's landed on Dan Byrne's right foot, and as he's done it, he's twisted his ankle, Jayden Bogle. And Dan Byrne, both of them thankfully up, hobbling about, laughing it off, shaking hands, and both okay?
Yes, all very good-natured. James Justin is on the bench for Leeds, their most recent signing, but I think Bogle is going to be okay, sort of hobbling back to the half line, but I think he's all right. No Tanaka for Leeds in midfield. Good player, Tanaka. So they've lost Ampadu and Tanaka from the midfield.
Two big misses. I think Tanaka and Ampadu missed a big portion of last season as well. I think that's why they've had to strengthen the squad, bringing in Longstaff and Stack, give the manager other options, because he knows that those players aforementioned are injury prone.
And Leeds with Pirro on the bench today, Calvert-Lewin as well. You would think, wouldn't you, that we'd see one or possibly both of those two in the second half, but we'll see. 0-0 is the score. Newcastle have Barnes and Alanga to call on. That's not bad, is it, when you've got those two coming off the bench? No. Anthony Gordon, though. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. And Kieran Trippier going in on a 50-50 there with Mecha, and referee Banks says it wasn't a 50-50. He's fouled him, Trippier, and they went in at some pace together. And it is the Leeds man who's come off worst. It's a free kick, that's all.
A good challenge, neither pulled out, did they? Both went. A good old-fashioned hearty challenge in the middle of the pitch. And Mecha kind of put his foot down. Trippier unfortunate. I think he's unfortunate to be penalised.
I think he was unfortunate.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Mecha seems fine.
Mecha came off worst, but it really was a 50-50. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. And the rain sweeping across from right to left, from Norman Hunter end right into the faces of everyone sitting in the Revy stand. I guess probably half the people sitting in that stand will be wet. James can't reach this ball. It runs out of play and it's a throw into Newcastle, halfway inside their own half. And the wind is really getting up now. It's actually quite a wild night now. Autumn has arrived.
It's certainly dropped a degree or two as well, hasn't it?
It has. Byrne clearing away from the left full-back position, but he sliced it straight out of play for a throw into Leeds near the halfway line. Dan Byrne in the England squad. We will have commentary, by the way, this time next week on England-Andorra from Villa Park. 5 o'clock kickoff, so 5 Live the place to listen to that, and then we'll be in Belgrade, won't we, Paul, on the Tuesday night, Serbia against England, the toughest match in the group on paper.
Looking forward to it. I think even though Serbia slipped up in their grudge match, on paper for England it's the toughest challenge. I mean, it's certainly not all been plain sailing for Thomas Tuchel, has it? There's still a lot of questions to be asked. He feels it's a big international break ahead.
Yep. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. And the ball played here to Gudmundsson, Swedish international. He'll be off with them. Gnonto, the Italian international, down the left-hand side now, taking on Miley, coming in field as he did often in the first half. Gives it to Bogle, left foot shot. Oh, he's skied it over the top of the bar. He's inside the D on his left foot, though, the right back, and it was over the top by probably 6 yards. And I might be doing him a favour by saying that.
Never really threatened Nick Pope's goal, did it? But once again, it's Willie Gnonto on this left-hand side. He does really good work, but then he comes in field, and that's exactly where Newcastle want him, running into bodies and narrows down his option. That time it was Bogle from distance to no avail.
Newcastle taking a goal kick out from the back, and Nick Pope is remonstrating with Kieran Trippier, who is ignoring his goalkeeper. And Cher was there as well. It's out for a throw. It's not his speciality, as everyone knows. No. Superb shot stopper, Nick Pope.
Great shot stopper, very good reader of the through ball. His depth perception is excellent, his reading of the game. But as you say, the modern way of goalkeeping now, playing out from the back, there are question marks over the way that he plays, hence the reason that Aaron Ramsdale's come in. And you do just wonder whether there'll be any kind of rotation. Nick Pope entering the last year of his contract as well, so that'll be something that to bear in mind.
33 years old. But he was in the England squad last season. He was in the England squad as recently as October. Nick Pope under Lee Carsley. Ball out of play for a throw-in over on the far side.
He came to Burnley when I was there, right at the very end of my career. Came from Charlton to Burnley, and Billy Mercer, the goalkeeper coach, worked relentlessly with him every day, working on his kicking and his footwork. Because when he first came, I mean, his left foot was for standing on only. So to see how hard he's worked and where he's got to is a credit to himself.
Aerial challenge between Byrne and Mecha, but it bounces away between the post and back towards the edge of the penalty area. Nick Pope just down to our left here, our commentary position on the gantry, which hangs from the roof of the John Charles stand. We're very close to the action, looking down on Newcastle as Tonali plays it, and it curls and bounces out to Livramento perfectly into his path. And Livramento running at Bogle, uses Guimarães behind him, square to Tonali. Tonali still going, thought about a shot, instead rolls it to the right hand side to Trippier, who tried to cutely play it into the box for the run of Tonali, but that was intercepted by Gudmundsson. Now back to Cher. The Newcastle fans want him to have a go. Guimarães gives it back to the former Swiss international, but then that pass was behind Livramento. Livramento's ball into the penalty area. That's headed away by a hopping Rodon out to Cher. Why did you laugh at that? Here's Miley. Miley now. Well, he actually slices his cross and it drops over the crust.
I do chuckle when you come out with some things. Well, that's two pub names we've had today. We've had a hopping Rodon and a bearded Bogle.
Should we pop down to the hopping Rodon later? Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. Full time now in the England Women's Rugby Union World Cup match. How big the scoreline, James Burridge?
What a scoreline. England 92, Samoa 3. 14 tries in total. This is the Red Roses' biggest ever World Cup win. Helena Rowland kicked 27 points. That's a record for an England player in a World Cup match. And a hat-trick for Jess Breach, who was absolutely brilliant today. Samoa came to the party. They gave everything they could. They even got a penalty, which they celebrated early in the second half. But in a word, John, emphatic. 92-3, the Red Roses win.
Thank you, James. Quite an effort here from Jacob Murphy from 23 yards, left foot. It was flying into the top corner until Perry dived to his left and made the save. Corner.
Really good strike from Jacob Murphy. Good connection with his left foot. And as you say, it was arrowing towards that top corner, just inside Perry's right-hand post. Goalkeeper flings himself off, goes with his top hand, turns it round.
Trippier then with the corner. Newcastle players running all over the 6-yard box into the near post. Can't beat Nemecha again. Nemecha is able to head it away towards the halfway line where it will roll out of play for a throw. So massive win for England. Wales out, Scotland through today. In the Super League, Wakefield Trinity 30, Huddersfield 2 is the latest score. Catalan against Wigan kicks off at 8, so we'll keep you up to date on that during the course of the evening. And the lines are open now to book your call with Alistair, Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton on a Saturday night. 08 085 909 693. Those calls free from mobiles and landlines. You can book your call on 85058 at your standard message rate. Get in touch, hashtag BBC 606. 0-0 here at Elland Road in the rain. Murphy now to Tonali in the central third of the field. Now Trippier on the right hand side. Trippier, high pass, and that was intercepted, cut out by Bogle, who headed it away, but James loses possession. Newcastle got it back as they attack towards the end where their supporters are. Now to Trippier on the right hand side. No, took a deflection. And it's bounced all the way across and was parried away in the end by Perry. Defender Strout dived for it, didn't make it, dived right across the line of the ball, and it bounced up, and goalkeeper Perry had to sort of pat it away.
Yeah, it was an awkward ball across the box from Kieran Trippier. Bounced just in front past Kostroik. No communication between him and his goalkeeper. He ends up diving right in front of his goalkeeper. Deflection on the cross on the way in from Nyonto. Pascal Stroik dives in front of his goalkeeper, doesn't end up getting anything on, but it puts the goalkeeper off. Perry does well to get a big claw on it and push it away.
That was an odd one, wasn't it?
No communication between the two. Perry did well in the end. It was like a big bare hand to shove it out the box, wasn't it?
Leeds 0, Newcastle 0, with just over half an hour to play. And a whole clutch of commentaries tomorrow on 5 Live. Rangers Celtic, don't miss that, from 12 o'clock. Brighton Manchester City at 2 o'clock. Nottingham Forest West Ham will be on Sports Extra 2 at the same time. And Liverpool Arsenal, 5 Live, the place to listen to that tomorrow. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0, with Murphy dispossessed, 10 yards inside his own half. Nyonto, but Kieran Trippier quickly back in position, puts the challenge in, the former England defender, and it's given us a Newcastle throw, much to Nyonto's disappointment. Trippier takes the throw. Tonali to Miley, Newcastle's number 67, the 19-year-old who missed much of last season, but be interesting to see where his career goes. England under-21 international named in Lee Carsley's squad yesterday. Neat and tidy. Here he is, passing the ball to Bruno Guimaraes, but he's dispossessed by Gruev, and then Longstaff takes it forward against his former club, but Miley is back in there, does well actually. Excellent midfield play by the youngster to stop the progress of his former teammate Longstaff. But Leeds still in possession, all in white. Back to the halfway line. Gruev to Strout. Strout looks up but actually plays it back behind him, and Gruev and Pascal Strout just exchanging passes. Goodmanson was given no chance there by that pass from Strout, and Newcastle are able to win it back, and Bruno Guimaraes gives it to Miley. And Miley now crosses the centre circle, past to Livramento. If he'd got the touch that he wanted there, he would have been away, Livramento. And actual fact, it's given us a free kick. Bogle just catching Livramento. Free kick to Newcastle, 10 yards or so inside the Leeds half.
Yeah, much to the Ellen Road faithful's disgust. I think the referee's got that one right. It was a lovely ball by Lewis Miley. Looked like it was going to make Livramento, who gets there first, just touches it in front of Bogle. He makes contact with Livramento, who goes over. The referee's got the right decision there. Free kick for Newcastle.
Still 0-0. Half-time in the Women's Champions League match between Hammarby and Manchester United. Tell you what, we'll go to Ben Croucher in a moment, because Newcastle have got this free kick, so stand by for that. But Newcastle with Trippier going to play this in right-footed from 10 yards inside the Leeds half, out towards the left. It is 0-0, but I think if either of them looking more likely, it's probably Newcastle. Trippier takes the free kick, but there is a foul by Bruno Guimaraes on the edge of the area. Free kick to Leeds. So what's the news, Ben Croucher?
Half-time, Manchester United 0, Sweden's Hammarby 0. Pretty even contest, job for a place in the third qualifying round of the Champions League up for grabs. Tersland and Sigioxi have forced smart saves from Loic. The home side have cannoned one off the crossbar at the other end, but half-time in Stockholm, it's goals.
Thank you, Ben. And while you were listening to that, Daniel Farke has decided, Paul Robinson, to bring off his two wide men, Daniel James and Wilfred Gnonto, and Jack Harrison and Brendan Aronson coming on for those two.
Well, an interesting change from Daniel Farke. Jack Harrison, many people thought his career at Leeds United was over after 2 years on loan at Everton. He's had a difficult spell pre-season to win over the Leeds fans, but Brendan Aronson and Max Wober have shown that Daniel Farke is not afraid to reintegrate these type of players into the squad.
As the ball's played forward for Mecha to chase, actually Botman went to ground, put the challenge in. They got there at the same time, and the final touch was off the Newcastle defender behind for a corner to Leeds, their first of the second half. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and actually this is the first time we've seen the reaction. Jack Harrison, Elland Road, and there's warm applause there as he walks over into that corner in front of the Revy stand. I think it looks as though the feeling is we've made our point.
Yeah, he was roundly booed in pre-season in Dublin against AC Milan, the early games in the season, but it looks like his performance application has won it over.
Harrison then with the corner. Nick Pope is able to catch on the far side of his 6-yard box. Going to see Newcastle change very shortly. Lewis Hall is going to come on for Kieran Trippier as Sean Longstaff is able to pass the ball back to his goalkeeper, and Osula has just collided with Bogle, and the Leeds fans are up in arms, but the referee says yes, it's a free kick, but that's it. And it's going to be a double change actually. Anthony Alanga is going to come on for Jacob Murphy as well. So the first change, Kieran Trippier makes way for Lewis Hall. So one would presume, Paul, that Livramento is going across, which he is, to the right-hand side. I thought Lewis Hall might have been in the England squad again yesterday, but probably not played enough yet this season, coming back from injury.
I think that's at the lack of game time, isn't it? I think the surprise today was that Alanga wasn't actually in the starting 11. I think for him, he's had a really good start to his Newcastle career. Gave a lot on Monday night against Liverpool, and maybe it was just managing his minutes, fatigue, maybe felt tired or not quite right after that game. But he's certainly a really good addition for Newcastle to bring off the bench at this stage of the game.
Yes, Alanga started Newcastle's first two matches on the bench today, but coming on with just under half an hour to play. So Eddie Howe making a couple of changes just after Daniel Farke did the same. And so there's a little bit of a rejig now for Newcastle. But Leeds with the ball halfway inside their own half. Lines open for 606 to book your call and talk to Alistair, Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton. 08085 909 693. As Newcastle, here's Alanga, first time that he's chasing after the ball. It's cleared away, but only to Bruno Guimaraes, and then Gruev is able to get the challenge in on Alanga, which takes the ball back to his goalkeeper. So yes, Jacob Murphy off after his first start of the season. Did take a knock, didn't he, in the first half? Whether that's connected or not, I don't know. As Miley for Newcastle is able to play the ball back to Nick Pope. The Revy stand doing their best to get onto the Newcastle goalkeeper, but he does well enough there with his feet. Newcastle play it out. Livramento now at right back or right wing back, plays it down the line for Alanga to chase. He's got that speed. He gets there ahead of Strout near the corner flag. Alanga's ball across, and then a touch inside the penalty area for Osula, who was stretching for it, but Leeds were able to get the touch in on that. Osula went down. There was half a shout from the Newcastle supporters, but Peter Banks wasn't interested.
Yeah, there was half a shout, wasn't it? Osula went over very easily inside the box. Good play again by Newcastle, and immediately already Anthony Alanga looks like he's going to have an impact in this game. Very direct, very forward thinking. He had the beating of Pascal Struijk immediately down this right hand side and caused Leeds a problem.
Yep, with the additions, Voltemada plus perhaps another striker, maybe Jorgen Strand Larsen, we'll see. That'll be decided over the course of the next 48 hours or so. Monday Night Club will be on the air 5 Live 7 o'clock just after the transfer window closes, so we'll round up everything for you, so don't miss that. Also, by the way, Monday afternoon, Luke Donald names his Ryder Cup captain's picks, so we'll have news of that mid-afternoon, and Luke Donald will be on 5 Live on Monday night after 9 o'clock talking about it all. And actually in 4 weeks time, right at this time, you'll be listening to the Ryder Cup on 5 Live, commentary across the 3 days. I hope it's not raining like this. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. Share, right-footed, long and forward for Alanga to chase, but he won't reach that. Out of play for a throw.
Definitely worth tuning in to see the Luke Donald picks, isn't it? I mean, the 6 automatic qualifiers are interested enough. There's almost just not quite enough room, is there? There's talk that maybe 1 or 2 of the big stars may miss out in that Ryder Cup. Definitely be tuning in, listening to that.
Yeah, it was interesting enough, the American team, wasn't it? Whether it was Willie or Warnty, as Stack plays it forward now for Aronson on the right hand side, who got a touch to it, but it was hit with such pace it bounced down, and Byrne was able to clear to the halfway line. Still goalless, still deadlocked really. A game with lots and lots of energy. The backdrop is terrific with the noise and the rain, but relatively few chances. Leeds feel they should have had a free kick there, as the challenge came in over on the far side on Stack, but no free kick from referee Banks, and Newcastle are back in possession.
It's very much stifled in the midfield, isn't it? Neither team really taking the opportunity to get wide.
And then Longstaff puts a challenge in on Bruno Guimaraes, and that is given as a free kick to Newcastle. Frustration growing in the stands.
Referee coming under some slight criticism, isn't he?
A little.
What you want is what the same for both, isn't it? Consistency from the referee is always very, very difficult, but once you set the bar for one, consistency through the game, pretty much all you ask for.
Yes, they'll be complaining about him in the hopping Rodon later, won't they? The ball's played forward through the middle. This for Osula to chase. I think he's put a hand on the back of Struijk. He did. Struijk went down. That is a free kick for Leeds.
There's another one for your podcast, isn't it? pub names. The Bearded Bogle and the Hopping Rodon today.
What a good idea. That is the commentator's view, which I would direct you towards it because it's our podcast. But the producer of this programme, Claire O'Donoghue, features this week, and there's some great behind-the-scenes clips. So
and you've both still got, all three of you still got a job.
thus far. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. As Longstaff, and that's given as a free. In fact, the referee stopped play because Botman has gone down. The referee thinks it might be a head injury, which is why he stopped play, but Leeds were on the attack at the time.
Yeah, very much to the Ellen Road crowd's disappointment. The referee had to check on Botman. He's signalling over to the doctor and the physio now that it's a head injury. Doesn't often go down too often, Botman. Just getting to see the replay now. Both him and Nemecha fixed on the ball. And it just goes out the shot, you can't really see.
Well, Botman is receiving treatment. Whether it's a head injury is debatable. In fact, he's clutching his ankle.
He's holding his head, but he's holding his Achilles tendon at the same time, isn't he? There was nobody around him, actually. When him and Nemecha went to challenge for the ball, he actually won the header cleanly. There was no one.
But of course, it depends, doesn't it, what the referee sees. And if the referee has seen it and thought, oh, that's a head injury, that's why he stopped playing.
And at first glance from a distance, it did look like a coming together. The referee turns round, the player's laid on the pitch holding his head. Understandably why he stopped the game.
Wakefield Trinity well on the way to victory against Huddersfield. 42-2 is the latest score there. The US Open, that's part of the choice of listening right now. The tennis is on Sports Extra 2. Yannick Sinner is playing right now, the Wimbledon champion. Coco Gauff already into the last 16 tonight. And Harvey Barnes, Paul, being ushered forward by the Newcastle coaching staff. Botman is climbing to his feet and he's going to have to leave the field. And whether we're going to see this Harvey Barnes change now I think we are, aren't we?
It's looking likely. Yeah, Eddie Howe's shuffling his pack again.
I think it might be Botman who's coming off, you know.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. So this is going to be a rejig here. And remember, this is Botman who was injured for so much of last season. This is his first appearance of this season. So probably we should have expected that with... I mean, he's okay, it would appear, on the far side after going down there. But, it's a long way back for him.
That might not be a pleasant walk in front of the Revy stand there for the Newcastle defender.
He's gone the wrong way there.
Certainly has.
Yeah, he's turned to his right and he's already regretting it. There we are, cheery welcome from the Leeds United supporters. About 15,000 pointing their fingers at him.
It's a definite change of shape for Eddie Howe now. Back to the usual back four that we're used to seeing. Alanga on this right-hand side. Harvey Barnes has gone over to the left. Hall left back. Livramento right back. A more usual Newcastle setup.
So Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. Barnes on, Alanga on, and Stack for Leeds, playing it out to Bogle there on the far side in front of the towering Jack Charlton stand. Do you remember when it used to be the Lurpak stand?
The Lurpak stand, yeah.
And Dominic Calvert-Lewin is waiting to come on. So we're going to see him into the action. That'll make it interesting. On the left, Gudmundsson. This is interesting for Leeds. Gudmundsson wins a corner off the outstretched leg of Alanga. So a corner for Leeds United. And after, well, you were there, Paul, for the 5 Live commentary with Ali on Tuesday night when, I mean, it could have been a dream debut if he'd taken his chances. It ended up as a bit of a nightmare for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and now it's his home debut.
Johnny had some incredible chances. I mean, the minutes were going to be managed by Daniel Farke, as he said. The first opportunity he got within minutes of him coming on, he was 3 or 4 yards from goal. The ball fell to him on his left foot, and it was one of those chances that you say as a commentator it was harder to miss than score. He had 2 more opportunities in the game and then proceeded to sky his penalty in the shootout. Not an ideal debut for him.
So here's the corner for Leeds into Pope, who was given a buffeting there. Actually got his hands to it, bounced up, he was able to catch it, and whatever threat there was has gone. Big cheer for Dominic Calvert-Lewin though, coming on after such a long time at Everton. And as I say, just underline it, this his home debut, his first match for Leeds United, playing here at Elland Road after coming on as a substitute with just over half an hour to play at Hillsborough in the Cup on Tuesday. Here's Miley for Newcastle as they attack from left to right. Miley taking it down the right hand side, giving it to Alanga. Leeds back in position, the cross struck a Leeds man on the edge of the box, fell to Guimarães, then Tonali, and then Lewis Hall with a shot, but it flies away over the top by maybe 2 or 3 yards. He can strike them, Lewis Hall, but that whizzed over and into the Leeds fans behind the goal.
Do you know what, John? That's a really good opportunity for Newcastle. It's a break on the counter-attack again. It's the pace of Alanga. The ball ends up at the feet of Lewis Hall on the edge of the box. Nobody goes to close him down. Finds himself with a lot of time and space. Bogle stands off him. Rodon stands off him. 22 yards from goal. You expect him to at least hit the target. That's a decent opportunity for the left-back.
But it didn't trouble Lucas Perry in the Leeds goal. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. As Livramento is able to turn and play it off Harrison, and the ball ricochets away and behind for a goal kick to Newcastle United. Leeds fans, as I say, those Leeds fans in probably the first 15 rows have had a right dousing here by this rain, which has been pretty much relentless since kick-off. Newcastle played this goal kick out from the back. Lewis Hall just miscontrolled it, but then was able to play it back to Byrne. Leeds though send it forward from the halfway line, and then it bounces up. Miley jumps for it, Calvert-Lewin, and the referee says the offside flag has gone up on the far side, which it has, and it's a free kick to Newcastle United.
He was looking to put himself about, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, playing very much between the 18-yard box. He did midweek against Sheffield Wednesday when he came on. Didn't have that many touches, but when he did, he got himself in good positions. He made good runs, and what I found when he did come on in midweek, Leeds put a lot more crosses in the box. They looked to get wide, and they looked for the big, tall striker.
Pigeon catches the eye as it flies into Elland Road and then out of our sight again. And then you can hear the Leeds United supporters striking up their favourite song. Hall playing it forward towards Barnes, who was challenged by Bogle. That's a free kick. The match has been, as they say, littered with free kicks. Bruno Guimaraes back to Tonali in the centre circle. No, the pass is short from him. Harrison's quickly onto that. Harrison now over the halfway line. Long left-footed ball. This for Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin with a touch, but it took it away from him and through to goalkeeper Pope. And you think the offside flag would have come anyway?
Yeah, the assistant on the far side put his flag up.
Oh, well played. Miley under pressure from Stack. That sets Alanga away, but Longstaff is there. Had a very good game, Longstaff, in the Leeds United midfield. I almost said the Newcastle United midfield, but he's been effective.
That's ingrained in you, John. It's been there that long. Just getting to see a replay of that ball from Jack Harrison. Calvert-Lewin would have been very close. It's one that VAR would have checked. Ball over the top. Calvert-Lewin's first touch just eluded him harmlessly into the arms of Pope.
It's a tricky one, wasn't it? It's played through wet surface, stretching for it, got a touch, but that touch took it through to Pope. Here is the Leeds United number 9 again, Calvert-Lewin going for goal from distance, probably 25 yards, maybe 30 yards, but it flew away wide. Pope was very cool about that, knew it wasn't going to threaten his goal.
He's playing his Leeds United debut in the first 3 or 4 minutes very well. He can understand here what the crowd want, what they want to see. He's run, he's chased lost causes, he's had a shot on goal from distance.
Leeds United 0, Newcastle 0. Watching on here from the benches of the gantry. It's quite amused to see our American colleagues had cushions put down for them on the benches to protect their bottoms. That's what you get in American media.
Well, I did send a picture to our gaffer, and he wasn't very forthcoming with his reply, to be honest. I don't think we're getting any cushions, John.
I don't think I want cushions. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. As Elanga is able to turn the ball to Livramento. Daniel Farke going through his gyrations there on the side of the pitch just in front of Livramento. Then Miley, that's asking a lot of Osula, who chases after it, but Rodon gets there first, and he's forced Rodon to stab it out of play for a Newcastle throw down the right. We've got 15 minutes of the 90 to play. Paul Robinson.
Yeah, there's not a lot else that Joe Rodon could do there. He had to cover around the back of Pascal Struijk. Really good positioning, covered his centre-half partner well, but nothing else he could do than put it out for a throw-in on this near side.
Yeah, Osula, you certainly get energy from him. Scored that goal to make it 2-2 on Monday night. Lovely little touch that he had past Alisson. Throw in then for Newcastle. Livramento to take this. Newcastle players dotted all over the Leeds penalty area. Throw into the near post. That's comfortably and easily headed away for Leeds by Gruev. Back to Livramento, all the way back to Tonali. If he's not been able to train properly, I mean, you would not know it from Tonali. He's every inch the athlete, isn't he?
I think you can see what Eddie Howe is getting at Newcastle, the togetherness, the team spirit, that performance that you saw on Monday against Newcastle. Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali, they're starting to show what Newcastle are all about.
Yeah, Bruno Guimaraes, who's started 67 Premier League matches in a row now. Tonali heading it forward for Newcastle, but straight into the path of Struijk. But Struik's pass gives it straight to Miley, but Struik's able to recover and go into the challenge, and the ball bounces away in the end off the Leeds United man for a Newcastle throw down the right. Newcastle are threatening to finish strongly here.
Again, it's very disjointed, isn't it? Both sides surrendering possession far too easily, nobody having any real sustained length of possession, but as you say, our eyes are fixed over to the right hand side, the end that Newcastle are attacking.
Yeah, throw to Leeds. Final touch was off Miley. Ball up to Calvert-Lewin, and it's played into Calvert-Lewin by Livramento. He's chasing a lost cause here. Cher was comfortably going to get there first, but Leeds United supporters trying to do everything they can. If Leeds can just, as they did against Everton, squeeze a win out of this and make it 2 home wins out of 2, that's why these minutes are so important. But Newcastle on the attack again. Hall with the cross, but excellent work from Aronson. Getting back there, the American international blocks it out for a throw.
The problem that they've got is we know how tough this league is. They also won the first 2 home games of the 2022-23 season when they got relegated. It's a tough old league to break the code to now, isn't it?
Yep, it is, as Elanga then into the penalty area. Guimaraes couldn't quite get there. Just stretched for it. It ran through to Struijk, who's able to play it away. Then Stack up towards the halfway line. 6 of one, half of it of the other between Calvert-Lewin and Byrne. Newcastle with it near the edge of the penalty area. Guimaraes stretches for it, goes down, wanted a free kick. He's not got it. Jack Harrison's going to run it away for Leeds United, but he's got company in the shape of Tonali, and he slipped in the end. Harrison and Newcastle are back in possession, dominating the possession now, increasingly so, as the ball slipped through by Barnes into the penalty area for Osceola, shoulder to shoulder with Rodon, goes down the Newcastle striker, but well defended by Rodon, out for a throw.
You feel there was an opportunity there for Osceola, didn't you, down the side of Joe Rodon. Does well in the end. Rodon stands his ground, eases the centre forward away from danger.
0-0. Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton taking your calls for 606 08 085 909 693 to book your call if you've been at one of today's matches. Very eventful up and down the country. FA Cup matches as well today, first qualifying round. If anything caught your eye there, as Cher tries to stab it forward, Harrison is then felled by Cher, and it's a free kick to Leeds in their own left back position. Robbie Savage and Chris will be back together on a Sunday night, as is the case all season. I see Forest Green drew 0-0 with Braintree today. Another Leeds change, or Goodmanson has gone down. Goodmanson has actually just gone down there.
Just signalling across to the bench. Yeah, that's exactly what you saw. Just gone down in the left back position. No one around him. Gone down, clutching both of his feet, pulling them towards him. Physio's just signalled to the bench. It doesn't look good for Goodmanson.
No. World Cup qualifiers coming up for them as well. He is in that squad. Goodmanson, as is Alanga, as is Emil Kraft as well, actually, who's on the bench for Newcastle today, and it is going to be for Leeds United James Justin who's coming on. So this will be a debut for James Justin, the former Luton and Leicester fullback. 6 seasons at Leicester, England international, another of the one cap club for England. And it was a little unfortunate. I remember he played in the Nations League in Hungary. I remember interviewing him, a very nice lad, as they usually are when they join up for England. And Goodmanson is off after Max Dowman notwithstanding a promising start to his Leeds career.
I think he's a good signing for Leeds, James Justin. I think he's the cover in the full-back areas, but I think he will push for a starting place. Jaden Bogle on the right-hand side is obviously first choice at the moment. Goodmanson on the left, but that did look like an injury, and it's an area that Leeds don't have a lot of covering. And I think for Justin, with the experience that he's got, Premier League experience again last year, be a quality addition.
Yes. Relegated with Leicester City last season. Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. We're into the last 10 minutes now, 10 minutes plus added time. Newcastle chasing their first win of the season, but all square. Ball cleared away by Cher. Bounces back for Harrison, but under pressure from Livramento. Harrison jumping for it, but can only deflect it out of play for a throw-in that Livramento will take back towards the edge of his penalty area. Still there is fine rain falling on Elland Road, but I think it might have cleared a little. Byrne plays it across to Cher as Newcastle advance towards the halfway line. Cher goes for a long pass. Hall chasing after it. Lewis Hall heads it infield. Then a touch from Barnes. Back it goes to Bruno Guimaraes. Guimaraes taps it behind him to one of his midfield partners, Tonali. Joe Linton on the injured list now. Here's Alanga on the right hand side. Summer signing from Nottingham Forest. Tonali once again. Then out to Miley on the right hand side. Miley back to Tonali, and then Bruno Guimaraes. This is all in the centre of the Leeds United half. Livramento, now it's out to the right hand side, then back centrally. Tonali and Guimaraes. Guimaraes turns, Gruev in front of him, so he uses Miley again, and Miley actually has given it away. Passed it back to the halfway line. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is onto that. Calvert-Lewin, hair flying, takes it out towards the left hand side with actually James Justin, the man furthest forward, who took up a position on the edge of the box, but it comes to nothing. Cleared away. Harrison then long and forward over the top of Aronson. If he got a touch, he might well have been offside, but in any case he couldn't, and Nick Pope had it.
That was a good run by Aronson from the far side, cutting in from the right hand touchline. Jack Harrison just tried to find him with the instep of his left foot, curling in behind that Newcastle back four as it is now. Would have been offside, I think.
Yep, think so. So still 0-0. Last team to come and win here in the league were Burnley. Well, Millwall did win in the FA Cup here last season. Here is Livramento. That was almost a year ago. That was last September that Burnley won 1-0 here. Leeds, of course, going on to win the title in fine style under Daniel Farke, who edges forward. Newcastle have possession. Ball out towards the left-hand side. Late drama for Newcastle on Monday night. We're getting into the latter stages of this match now, as Bruno Guimaraes puts in the challenge. Longstaff is there, he's fouled him. That's a free kick to Leeds. Bruno Guimaraes just taking away the legs of Longstaff.
It's been a very cagey game, hasn't it? Even more so in the second half. And as we enter the last 6 minutes or so plus added time, we're getting into the territory of now neither team wants to lose the game, rather than taking the chances and the opportunity to maybe go forward and risk that final ball. Maybe that point does seem a little bit more valuable than it was at the start.
I'd love to know how many tackles Sean Longstaff's been involved in today. The number will be high. James Justin playing the ball back towards the edge of his penalty area, and then Lucas Perry puts his right foot through it. Long one right away downfield for Stack to chase, but it bounces through to the goalkeeper at the other end, Nick Pope, who swiftly gives the ball out to the towering Dan Burn. Tonali receives it from him. Livramento and Alanga on the right hand side move into the Leeds half, and then a stretch leg from Harrison puts the ball out of play, bouncing past the side of the old-fashioned Elland Road dugout tops, see-through perspex with its metal struts. Throw-in taken. Share to Burn. Now Hall over there on the left-hand side. Harvey Barnes into the action. Barnes got an excellent goal-scoring record against Leeds United, but he loses possession here, but Leeds aren't able to take it on with Bogle. So back to the halfway line. Yes, Harvey Barnes, 6 goals in 8 career appearances against Leeds United. Then it's played back into the heart of the Leeds defence to Rodon. Leeds United supporters trying to urge their team on to get this goal. Probably one goal now wins it. Ball played by Aronson. Bogle towards the edge of the Newcastle box, into the area, taking on Hall, but Hall was able to turn, found the ball at his feet and scraped it away. Osula somehow manages to, even though he was falling over, keep possession and play it to Bruno Guimaraes. That's given away though. Leeds, long one over the top. Calvert-Lewin, challenged by Cher. They go down together. Final touch though off the Newcastle man behind wide of his goal for a corner.
That's the threat that Dominic Calvert-Lewin has. Not necessarily always been there from Leeds. Jayden Bogle that time picks the ball up only halfway inside the Newcastle half. Fizzes the ball into Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Tries to get there across the front of Cher. Doesn't. Cher gets there first, but he concedes the corner.
I think Newcastle was saying that Cher had headed it onto Calvert-Lewin, but corner's given. We're watching here in front of a crowd of 36,727. 5 Live from the BBC. 5 Live also to be found on BBC Sounds, on the app. Corner from the right for Leeds United. 3 players near the penalty spot. Longstaff far side of the area. Here's the delivery towards the penalty spot. Cher stretches, gets his head to it. The referee spotted an infringement. I don't think he's going to be the most popular man in West Yorkshire tonight, Peter Banks.
Do you know what? I'm not convinced that the referee was absolutely certain that was a corner kick. And I think quite often, how many times do we see when the referee questions herself?
I don't know what you're suggesting.
The corner is swung in and a free kick is given to the defensive team.
What an allegation. Tonali, this is for Livramento to chase down the right, but he won't reach that. It's all the way through for a goal kick. How long have we got left? 3.5 minutes plus added time. It was the 10th minute of added time, wasn't it, that Rio Ungamoa's shot ended up in the back of the Newcastle net on Monday night. Some moment that, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable for the youngster, wasn't it?
Wasn't it just?
We haven't really had any of those moments today, though, have we? The game's never really caught light, has it? I mean, it's been a good game, it's been a good watch, it's been action-packed in the middle of the field, there's been tackles flying in, but as far as goalmouth incidents and opportunities, been very, very sparse.
Yes, it has. Probably one of those matches where it's better to be here than it is to watch on television. I don't think Mark Chapman was on the edge of his seat as there's a foul given for a challenge centre field. Bruno Guimaraes, it's Stack who's been fouled. Bruno Guimaraes is the Newcastle captain, has gone across to referee Banks, but But this is a free kick for Leeds, but it's near the halfway line.
Right in front of the dugouts as well, and immediately Eddie Howe was right to the edge of his technical area to remonstrate with the referee. He didn't feel it was a free kick. I mean, it's a free kick that's only just in the Newcastle half, but an opportunity for Leeds. Tired, weary legs. We can see them in the white shirts making their way forward. Newcastle holding a very, very high line.
Yep, Jason Tindall as well there. This is right up his street, isn't it? Jason Tindall just standing next to Eddie Howe, and the two of them got instructions. Eddie Howe's trying to marshal this back line, which, as Paul Robinson says, it's right in the middle of the half. Free kick, 5 yards inside the Newcastle territory. If you've just switched on, it's still 0-0 at Elland Road. Harrison with a long free kick. Pope comes for it and he's able to catch it into the upper part of his chest, actually. It's overhit by Harrison. They give it out quickly. Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes together. Bruno Guimaraes just passed down the line. Barnes with a flick, almost took it past Bogle, but he was able to recover. Did well, actually, the Leeds right back. Barnes was a danger there, tried to flick it infield, and he just got possibly a heel to it, Bogle.
It's lacked quality at both ends, I think, if the truth be known. I think there's been some good play in the midfield, but then at both ends, when both teams have got into the final thirds, the final pass, the final decision, the quality just hasn't been there.
6 minutes of added time to play. 5 Live. The 100 is on Sports Extra 3. US Open Sports Extra 2. But Leeds coming forward with Bogle, and Bogle playing it. Calvert-Lewin, shot saved by the right foot of Nick Pope. He stood up the Newcastle goalkeeper and kicked it away with his right foot, the shot from an angle on the right side of the box.
Certainly wasn't orthodox from the Newcastle goalkeeper, but it was effective at the same time. Once again, it's Bogle cutting in from the right side into Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and to his credit, he doesn't look up. He knows where the goal is. Dominic Calvert-Lewin looks to strike it across Nick Pope, but his big size 12 sticks his boot out and just kicks it out for a throw-in.
I think that's their first attempt on target. Quite possibly. I mean, it's a rare attempt on goal from Leeds. 0-0, despite their efforts. Leeds take the throw again, over on the right-hand side. There's excellent footwork by Aronson into the box. Now lays it back. Chance from the angle. Bogle chips it across, but chips it straight into the gloves, or the right glove of Pope, who threw his hand up, patted it up in the air, caught it. 6 minutes of time to be added on. A late surge from Leeds.
Good confident goalkeeping by Nick Pope. Good play by Leeds again, and again it's Bogle getting in an advanced position down the right hand side. He got the goal midweek against Sheffield Wednesday that looked to have rescued Leeds United in the League Cup. Couldn't quite put the finishing touch, chipped it into the box. Nick Pope with one hand, comfortable grab.
Going to hear news very shortly on the latest on Manchester United's match in the Women's Champions League, but Alanga on the attack, but he's overrun that all the way through. 2 Leeds defenders with him. So what is the news, Ben Croucher?
Goal for Manchester United, a great cross from BZ Dunham, Mallard stretch to pull it back for Elizabeth Tersland to slot home. Manchester United 1, Hammarby 0.
Thank you, Ben. That match being played in Sweden, here in the People's Republic of West Yorkshire. It is Leeds United 0, Newcastle United 0, and we have 5 minutes to play. And Perry's goal kick is headed back towards him by Alanga on the halfway line. Now here is Barnes, able to run at Bogle, and he's also got Hall on the overlap, and Hall's cross is headed away by Stack for Leeds, who gets up high and is able to nod it back towards the Leeds right. But too casual there. Tonali has won it back for Newcastle. Barnes with the shot, but straight into the back of Rodon. Calvert-Lewin, it rebounded all the way to him in the centre circle. He runs it across the halfway line, gives it to Harrison, and then Harrison is impeded by Bruno Guimaraes. That is a free kick. He knew it as well. He doesn't want to admit it, but he knew it.
He was clever, Jack Harrison. He almost looked like he was losing possession. Ran into Bruno, who in turn give away the free kick. And again, Leeds now, they get a little bit of respite. Chance to throw the white shirts forward. But once again, this really, really high line from Newcastle. Very brave defensive line.
It is. In the 3rd minute of added time, lines open for 6:06. Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton. 08 085 909 693. Gillan McCall, Livramento, loses out to Harrison. Harrison now into the penalty area, pulls it back, but defender Miley was there. Or Miley, defending, was there, and is able to slide in and block it behind for a corner.
It's a superb piece of defending from Miley, it really is. Livramento loses his footing right underneath as Jack Harrison runs into the 18-yard box completely unchallenged. It looks like he's pulling it back to Stack just to tap it into the goal, but Miley appears from nowhere, slides across the front of Stack and concedes the corner.
Remember Leeds in the first match of the season here scored an 84th minute penalty, Natcher's goal, won it 1-0 against Everton. Here they are looking for an even later goal. Harrison with the corner from the left-hand side, down to our left, curls it in, high to the back post. Rodon gets his head to it, Pope stretches and is able to catch it under pressure from Calvert-Lewin inside the 6-yard area, and he gives it out. And now it's Newcastle who will try to come forward. 0-0 in their first away match of the season at Villa Park. 0-0 here at another one of the great grounds of England, Elland Road. Livramento passing the ball forward to Osula, tall and leggy, now to Alanga. Alanga lifts one up, but lifts it straight over the top of the goal, beyond the far post, and it drops down for a goal kick, and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, the lack of firepower for both teams has been quite apparent, hasn't it? There's been some good play, there's been some good interchanges, good opportunities at times, but like I say, the final third, that target man, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, certainly made a difference when he's come on for Leeds. If only Newcastle had a £65 million striker sat underneath us in the stands.
Yeah, well, he'll, I'm sure, be playing against Wolves next Saturday at St James's Park. If you're a Newcastle United forward, I suppose you want to make your debut in front of the Gallagate end, but Newcastle could probably have done with them on the pitch, which is not to say that Osula has not put in a real effort in that role here. But goal kick downfield by Perry, comes off a Newcastle head. We're now in the 5th minute of 6 of added time. Throw in, Justin takes it for Leeds, back to Stroud. They're urging their team forward. The fans to our left in the Revy stand, long from Stroud. Calvert-Lewin chasing, but Byrne just cannily comes across and moves in front of him, and it bounces through to Pope. Maybe time for 1 or 2 more attacks in the match now, before the final whistle. Tonali, back to Livramento. Tall Livramento started in a left wing back position, now playing as right back. Out to the far side it goes for Newcastle. Byrne getting it back from Lewis Hall. Dan Byrne then. Guimarães comes short. Cher, I think he's put too much on that. Miley on the chase, maybe not. Miley after it, and in the end it does bounce away from James Justin and Miley for a goal kick. And I make it, Paul, we've got 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, it was just overhit there, wasn't it? And Perry in the Leeds goal. He's certainly not in a rush to take this goal kick. Leeds looking quite content with the point as it is, as it's played out. As you can tell, the noise in the background, the Elland Road faithful can see the effort, the application, what the players have given them today. End result might not be exactly what they wanted.
No, could be a 4th point of the season for Leeds United. So in the Premier League, that would be 4 points from the first 3 matches. But we're not done yet. Only seconds to play. In fact, that is it. 0-0. Newcastle, 2 matches played away from home in the Premier League this season, 2 0-0 draws. Newcastle still searching for their first win of the campaign, but today was the day that they announced a new club record signing, so there'll be optimism that will soon perhaps come to an end. But for Leeds United, 0-0 here, 2 clean sheets at Elland Road, and 4 points here from the 2 matches.
I think it's a game that promised so much but delivered so little in the end. In the end, for goalmouth opportunities and attacking play. 2 sides happy with a point, and I think there's positives that both managers will take from that. Newcastle supporters, a good solid defensive display away from home, with a new multi-million-pound striker sat in the stand below us, ready to be utilised next week. Leeds, every single point is going to be celebrated gratefully. Back in the Premier League, every single point is important. But as I said at half-time, promised more, but all we got was more of the same, unfortunately.
Yep. I know during the summer we had a chance to speak to Nick Voltemade, and one of the things he said to us was, I know where the goal is. So that is what Newcastle United need. Standing in the stands now with his hands in his pockets. He's got a suit on, he's wearing a shirt and tie, which is nice to see from a new signing. But his day will come. This, though, a 0-0 draw. So, We will be handing to 606 to Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton very shortly. 08085 909 693 to book your call. Hashtag BBC 606. Get in touch 85058 to book your call on the text as well. But we have one or two things to get to first before we do that. First of all, let's go to New York. That's where Russell Fuller is at the US Open.
Evening, John, and I'm watching the defending champion and world number one Yannick Sinner, who is a set down to Canada's Denis Shapovalov, who reached the semi-finals here 4 years ago. A fourth double fault of the set when set point down cost Sinner the set 7-5, 1-all in the second. Naomi Osaka and Daria Kasatkina are level at 1 set all on the Armstrong Stadium. Winner to play Coco Gauff on Monday. Gauff won in straight sets earlier. And the commentary continues on Sports Extra 2 right now on BBC Sounds.
Right, thanks Russell. Good luck over the next week or so there. You can listen to it all unfold on 5 Live, Sports Extra, etc. Very wet in West Yorkshire. So how's that affected the 100 at the Oval, Alison Mitchell?
It is wet here as well, John. We got through 50 balls of the Superchargers innings. They reached 76 for 3 before it started raining. The covers are currently on. The highlight being a 56-run stand for the second wicket between David Milan and Dan Lawrence, which involved Milan stretching to run in his bat, injuring himself, then needing a runner. So the sight of Zach Crawley walking out to be a runner at one point didn't last too much longer, though, because he was out for just 29, Milan. But it is raining at the moment. Reminder that if this match is rained off completely, it would be Trent Rockets that go through, but we are hopeful of a restart later.
OK, thank you, Ali. That continues on BBC Television, Sports Extra 3, if you want to listen to it, if you're on the move. And also, how about the Women's Champions League match that's being played in Sweden? Hammarby against Manchester United. Ben Croucher is monitoring it.
Manchester United still lead Hammarby by 1-0. Tursland's goal on the hour, the difference to add to a hat-trick on Wednesday. Well worth the lead to our Manchester United, not really giving the Swedish side a sniff after the break, and already employing some delaying tactics, shall we say. They are 19 minutes away from the third qualifying round for the first time in their history, still leading 1-0.
OK, we will have more on that during the course of 606. I can tell you as well that in the National League, the 5:30 kick-off has finished Brackley Town 1, Scunthorpe 1. So Rochdale, top of the table, 1 point ahead of Robbie Savage's Forest Green Rovers. 5 Live in the morning, Sunday breakfast with Jeanette Quatchy and Gordon Smart. We'll preview all of the weekend sport. Colin Murray will be on the air at 10 o'clock. The Great Football Songbook is at 10:30. Don't miss that. And 5 Live Sport, an early start tomorrow for Rangers against Celtic. Listen to that, live on 5 Live from 12 o'clock. Brighton Manchester City is at 2 o'clock on 5 Live. The Dutch Grand Prix is on Sports Extra. Nottingham Forest West Ham on Sports Extra 2. And then at 4:30, the small matter of Liverpool Arsenal, when Dion Dublin will be sitting alongside me. Paul Robinson, thank you very much for your company here at Elland Road this evening. I certainly will see you soon, and very soon you will be listening to Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Sutton on 606 on 5 Live.